I need to add two things to the agenda at the end. One is the Hales location budget, and the second is that we're going to have a very short non-public session. So, the first thing on the agenda is public comments. I'd ask you to keep them short, and we'll press on. Yes, please state your name.
Okay. Good morning, first off. Maureen McDonald, and I am the chair of the UNH Cooperative Extension Advisory Committee. I have a letter which I can pass out, which has my comments on it. And as a volunteer of the Advisory Council, I feel compelled to provide some accurate information regarding our program. Far from the antique image portrayed by the article Jelly Making Classes, our modern extension system continually adapts to changing society needs and public demands. Cooperative Extension is an arm of the University of New Hampshire, serving a critical link between research and education for the general public. UNH Cooperative Extension has always operated at the county level to minimize costs and enhance services targeted to the local needs. Our programming supports the needs of individual citizens, youth, limited resources families, schools, farms, municipalities, and small businesses. Our food safety expert provides professional training to over 300 restaurant folks throughout the county, which provides us with healthy, safe food, which is important to our tourism community. The Lakes Lay Monitoring Program, led by UNH Cooperative Extension, trains and supports hundreds of volunteers who provide critical data collection throughout the Hamptons Lakes region. Given the high demand for local schools to support science education and the importance of technology, our 4-H programs are doing an outstanding job working with the school systems and after-school programs and 4-H clubs. I'm making it a little briefer than what you have in front of you. UNH's Cooperative Extension fruit and vegetable crop production programs provide the farmers with the latest research that helps them to be more profitable, keeping Carroll County's vegetable and fruit producing programs in business and benefiting everyone. And in this year's Almanac, it talks in 2009, 19 million people grew vegetables, with 7 million doing so for the first time. Seed companies are seeing sales surge. There's a feeling that food will be safer if people can control the growing process themselves. Over 20,000 community gardens were planted in 2009. Consumers are more interested than ever where their food comes from. The number of farmers markets has surged from 1994 from 1,700 to 7,000. While urban shoppers tend to pay premium prices and consume the purchased veggies immediately, rural residents pay lower prices, often buying in bulk, preserving the food for the future by pickling, canning, drying, or freezing. Some backyard growers sell their excess vegetables at local markets, seeking to make a profit from their own gardens. It's a perfect part-time, cash-intensive opportunity that fits well with the retired, unemployed, partially retired, or partially employed folks. Our youth development support staff coordinates close to 100 volunteers who lead our 4-H activities. Our nutrition program, I believe, has hit over 16,000 people so far this year. 10,000 contacts. These are only a few of the many recent programs that we offer. Please note that these services are offered to every resident in the county, young and old, rich or poor, and farmers to restaurants, etc., for approximately $1 per $100,000 assessment on the home. For me, that's $3 per year that I can have all these services. Based on the assessment of your house, it's probably less than $5. I do not believe that the private sector can provide these services to our county residents at a better value. Thank you very much for supporting our program.
Thank you, Noreen. I appreciate that.
There were enough copies, and I tried to make it brief.
Okay, I appreciate that.
They didn't get copies.
Okay.
Yes. I don't care. Whichever one.
Thank you.
My name is Dorothy Solomon, and I come here to speak about UNH Extension. I'd like to point out, and I'll be very brief because Noreen has taken a lot of my steam. But basically, I was very concerned when I was hearing and reading about comments, rather negative comments about the UNH extension. Up until the time that I was on the commission and then appointed to be the delegate to the commission, to the UNH Extension Advisory Board from the Commissioner's office, I knew very sketchily about UNH and what they did. And I learned a great deal of good that I learned. And I am particularly impressed by all of the things that you have just heard. But let me say that as a commissioner, what UNH is doing and has done for the county is to be commended. They work very closely with our farm and were very helpful during the farm day. In the jail, they work on parenting for those who are incarcerated to help them get along when they get out. And for our woodlands, they mark the trees for our wood productions, among other things. And in the nursing home, they have helped provide food safety training. They have helped on the work on the trails that we are going to be putting up at the nursing home. But for me, even beyond that, as a former teacher, the work that is done by the 4-H cannot be, you can't say enough about it. That they give our youngsters something to do that is educational and fun is beyond question. And if you cannot see how good that is for our future, then you have to open up your eyes. I hope that you will support UNH and its budget because they do such good work for us. Thank you.
Thank you. The lady in the pink.
Good morning. My name is Sandra Brokar. I am a small farmer here in Carroll County. I am also a member of an organization called Small and Beginner Farmers of New Hampshire. In Carroll County, we have at least 40 members. For us, myself personally and my farm, and for the members of Beginner Farmers, cooperative extension is very important. They aid us a great deal by their science-based approach. They allow us to have access to information for livestock, how we can keep our livestock healthy, appropriate ones to grow, to raise for our markets or for ourselves. I'm a vegetable grower. I use cooperative extension extensively to help me improve my soil, make sure that I don't impair the water quality, keep the environment good. They help with crop production and selection. I couldn't do it without their aid. They are very important to my community. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Chef Bud Selmy, certified chef through the American Culinary Federation, as well as the food and beverage director at Storyland. And at Storyland, we feed several thousand people a day during our summer season. And I'm here to speak about the Extension Service, and for the past 14 years, the Extension Service has taught to our food service cast members Serve Safe Awareness, which is about a 2-hour program during our orientation in the spring, as well as for the past 14 years, we've also been a host location for the Serve Safe certification program in June, which has trained about 20 people a year for the past 14 years. So food safety is of utmost importance for not only this area, but the state as a whole. And food safety comes into, you hear about it in the news all the time. So the Extension Service provides an extensive food safety training program that is utilized throughout the state of New Hampshire. And it is a very important and an integral part of keeping our food system safe. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
Thank you. I'm Maynard Thompson. What we have been hearing this morning is an example of a phenomenon that occasions a great deal of our economic distress, and that is that people are speaking feelingly and accurately of the benefits that they derive from a program that is publicly funded. Their benefits are concentrated on them. The costs are dispersed. I believe one speaker spoke of $1 per 100,000 for every assessed house in the county. As a result, there is an asymmetry in the passion with which people address these programs. And I don't question for a second that the Extension Service provides excellent services to the people who've been speaking and to many others. Because of that asymmetry, you see that the programs at all levels of government balloon over time. The people lobbying for the maintenance and extension of programs do so with a great deal more interest than the people who are seeing their tax bills rise but can't point to any single cause of that. And yet our indebtedness, which now amounts to $50,000 for every child born into Carroll County every year, our indebtedness mounts and is simply the aggregation of all of these dispersed costs, all of which started with small programs and small assessments, no one of which was sufficiently expensive to occasion rejection. How are we going to get control of our mounting indebtedness at every level of government if we're not prepared to look at things and say, notwithstanding the fact that they deliver benefits to particular individuals, are these appropriate undertakings to force on taxpayers, whether they're willing or not? Now, I heard one speaker say that they take care of rich and poor alike, and I think that's a very telling comment, because what we have going on here is, by that speaker's own words, in effect, a subsidy for people who are rich in many instances. Why should the taxpayers, many of whom do not have much money, be called upon to subsidize services, however useful those services are, to people who have more money than they do? Finally, I'll just point out that a couple of years ago I heard the chairman of the county commissioners talking about the various services rendered by this program, one of which stuck in my mind was doing soil tests for golf courses. And that is a beautiful illustration of what I'm talking about. Subsidies for rich people at the expense of people who don't have much. And I think that's wrong. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Yes?
Good morning. Thank you, Madam Commissioner. My name is Jack Rose, and I'm here on a couple items, one of which you're going to review later this morning. The first item I would like to talk about is a bill before the Assembly that's coming up this month, I believe. It's called SB 102. The purpose of this bill, this was authored by the town of Albany, and fortunately had two very strong endorsers. Senator Jeb Bradley last week was able to overturn a committee recommendation that this bill be defeated, and he got it to pass. It's now going to come to the Assembly. The bill, in essence, says give each town the option, not demanding, but the option to elect their board, their conservation commission. And so it would enable each town to say, we want to elect our conservation commission, or no, we want to continue have them to be appointed by the selectmen. And all we're asking is give that option to each town, which requires a change in the state statute. We as a town have a very active conservation commission, and we have no problem getting people to stand up and join this conservation commission. We would like that to be elected. The New Hampshire Association of Conservation Commissions is against it, and the only reason that they can state in a recent publication, which they sent out to all members, of which we are one, the primary reason why it is that we are likely to see less volunteers for the Conservation Commission if the municipalities decide to elect conservation commissioners. I don't see any basis for that, and I find that's their primary objection to the legislation which we are requesting. So I'm asking the county delegation to please, when you go to assembly and this topic comes up, I also understand there will be a hearing and we will be present at the hearing, the town of Albany. But I ask you to please give this full consideration. We feel it's a very valid and worthwhile change. The only other thing I would like to mention is the fact that later this morning you're going to be talking about a request which I made on behalf of Carroll County Transportation for $2,000 to aid us in additional funding for advertising and promotion. This service is growing. The Carroll County Transportation Service is growing very nicely. Over 6,000 rides last year, and we expect this year will probably be well over 7,000. The service is provided for everyone, and everyone is capable, and a great cross-section of people are using the service. And we want to promote that and educate people. I've been after the county commissioners, as a matter of fact, to hold an educational session here at the county for all of the various entities that could use this service, and the buses come here every day. So please give that full consideration. I thank you.
Thank you very much. Yes, state your name, please.
My name's Chip Albee. Notwithstanding previous comments about the amazing growth of government, I'd like to remind the delegation that this particular form of government that we have here in the county hasn't changed with the exception of the dispatch center for well over 100 years. We haven't added departments, we haven't increased the scope of government in any dramatic way. So this type of government, or this form of government that we have here at the county, has remained static for an awfully long time. One thing that troubles me is that when this government was formed, this county government was formed, one of the assets that our forebears thought was very important, and is not anachronistic today any more than it was then, is the farm. That's an asset which has laid fallow for a long, long time, not to get too crazy with metaphors. But for well over a decade, we have not funded the farm, and yet that is one of the few places we have left to offset the expenses of county government. County government, unlike most governments, is funded to a large degree by what it does, the revenues that it produces. So we have an opportunity with a farm, and we're not using it. We haven't used it for well over a decade. We have an opportunity with the old nursing home, and I haven't seen an awful lot of discussion about the use of that building. But those are two opportunities where we can create revenue to offset the expense to the taxpayers. There was mention in the paper about the county competing with local businesses, which I find interesting. Every dollar that's raised by the sale of goods from the farm benefits the 45,000 plus residents of the county of Carroll. It goes to the benefit of everyone when the farm is successful, and I would certainly hope that you'd reconsider your farm budget. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm not taking comments from the commissioners.
I'm a taxpayer, Madam Chairman.
Well, you're a commissioner right now, so you
Madam
can,
Chairman.
we can discuss that later. I see something in the back.
Yes. Good morning, everyone. John Rickenbrod, local resident, mill keeper. I've spoke before on the farm operation, of course, the cooperative and everything like that. And I don't claim to have any expertise in the area, but certainly I see a need, especially in the future. If any of us have been paying attention to some of the economic statements being made and what possibilities could lie before us, the need for the farm goes without saying. And also we've noticed recently the federal involvement in our communities keeps growing, and how they want to help us through their grant programs. We should flee this system like it was the plague. Their directive is to take over property rights of every individual, their sovereignty to be a person, to live freely on this land. We have to educate ourselves about Delphi method. They send individuals to your community and convince you that you have problems that you have to fix. These people are criminal. And I beg you, each and every one of you, to pursue this matter and educate yourselves about it, because it affects everyone. We can't sit and make decisions regarding the public interest and intellectualize things on our own behalf. We have to get out there and find out what the people want, what their interests are. We can't sit and make decisions standing alone and by ourselves. It's not up to us. That's not why you're in your position. Your position is to know what the people need and what they want, and to educate yourselves what their possible needs will be in the future, just as well. It's a huge responsibility, and we put you in these positions to do these things. And we really appreciate anything you could do to help us foresee possible needs in the future.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Sir, I'm sorry I didn't get your name.
John Ruckenbrod.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, I see one more comment.
Steve Brown. I would, on behalf of the taxpayers, request that the delegation take a long, hard look at the IT contract that was signed last year. This is over a six-figure contract yearly, and the way it was handled just shows the ineptness of government at its finest. The commissioners used their bid-steering bulldozer to steer it to one company. That is not fair and equitable to the taxpayers. And again, I would call on the delegation to look long and hard to defund the IT contract and force the commissioners to put out a fair and equitable bid this time for the benefit of the people of Carroll County. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. If we could, I'd like to, I thank everyone from the public. And I mentioned earlier that we were adding to the agenda the Hales location budget. And, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't see you back there.
My name is Alan Fredrickson. I'm from Wolfboro. We have a beef cattle farm that we run, and I would just like to express my support for the extension as well as the 4-H program. I have two children that have been in the 4-H program here in the county for about 9 years now. They've gained tremendous experience. They've been all over the country showing their animals. They've learned a lot of life skills, and I think it's an extremely important program. As far as extension, I can't say enough as to how much extension has helped us in our farming operation. Not only the extension people here in Carroll County, but throughout the state. And I think it's an extremely important to maintain extension. So I ask for your support, and thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, if we could, I hope everyone knows that the commissioners are the selectmen for Hales location. Any unincorporated place, the county commissioners are in charge of the budget in conjunction, obviously, with the people that happen to live in that area. We are the legislative body that approves the budget. And so tomorrow's town meeting day, but we're going to hold our little town meeting a day early. And I ask, are there any comments on the Hales location budget? Yes,
I'm
Susan.
just curious about why we changed the order on the agenda.
Because the Hales location person is here. And I don't think it's fair that he should have to sit through this unless he wants to. Okay? Oh, I know. Yes, Commissioner.
Chairman, it was my fault that it was left off the agenda. She asked me to put it on. But what we're looking at is $274,425 as the Hales location budget. You see that on that form, $274,425. That's the budget. The reason for the increases, there are 3 additional students that are going to high school or to school in the Conway district. As you know, it depends on whether it's in elementary school or in high school, depending on what the district charges. And it could be $20,000, it could be $30,000. You'll also see down the bottom, streets and highways, at the request of Hales location residents. They wanted to use the balance that we had left over from surplus, that $200,000, to repair the roads. And I believe all the roads were resurfaced this past year. So that brings it to that basic bottom line of $274,425.
Thank you very much.
Motion?
Just a moment. Did you have a...
Please, yes. Well, I'm Dick McClure, and I'm the president of the Hales Location Owners Association. And I appreciate you putting us on the agenda for us to be able to address the issues. As Commissioner Sorensen pointed out, a big portion of our education, of our budget is education, and we do pay a tuition for all the students as they attend the various institutions. One of the things we broached with the commissioners in the past year was whether or not we'd have the ability to send our high school students to Freiburg Academy. Right now, we are being charged $32,000 to $33,000 for the students to attend Kenney. And tuition, we're told, for non-residents for Freiburg Academy is $18,000. So that we'd like to know whether or not we have an enabling way to send our children to Freiburg Academy and have those charges billed through the Carroll County system. The other thing I'd like to point out in the budget is that we have our elections are conducted in Conway, and we are fine with that situation. We do note, though, that legislation was passed in the last session to change what we get charged for the elections from what was a nominal $50 fee to what the legislation termed reasonable charge. And last year, of course, there were many elections. We were all voting in all of those. But this year, for example, in North Conway, there's an election, and Hales location will not participate because we don't have an election. What we have found is that for 2012, Hales location was charged $1,136 for the elections, which represents an apportionment of $22,720, which the town deemed the cost of conducting elections. Now, the way that they apportioned that was to take the assessed valuation of Hales location and divide it by the assessed valuation of Conway and come up with the allocation. What that amounts to is that we were charged like $9 per person to vote, since we have 125 voters, and Conway, who has 6,000 voters, was paying like $3 apiece. We feel that it might be more reasonable if the election charges were divided on a per voter basis rather than assessed valuation. And one of the things that is shown in the distribution of costs, they show ballot clerks and $125 credited as the cost of a ballot clerk to Hales location. All of the people that work in the polls from Hales location are volunteers. My wife volunteers from the time the polls open until an hour after they close in order to get the counts right. And she's never asked for $1 and never been given $1 of compensation for that. And so Hales location is more than happy to provide volunteers, and we'd like to see some sort of credit given to us in our election costs, given the contributions we make. So those are the extent of my observations. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm just going to move we accept the bottom line, $274,425 as the budget.
Second.
Okay. Yes, comments?
Yes. Hey guys, I have a question regarding the streets and highways, and maybe it's really directed toward Commissioner Sorensen, since you were doing the presentation. And you made the, pardon me, you said that the people wanted you to do that, so I was just curious on how you came to that conclusion. Did they have a vote? Did you have a meeting with all the, how does that, what transpires before we get to these numbers on this paper? Because I would just like to know how that transpires.
Correct me if I'm wrong. We had a meeting over at the nursing home, and I think at that time it was brought up that the roads need to be resurfaced and that we had a surplus. Because we budget the way we did, we have to have some money in there in case more kids go to school. Well, we didn't use it one year, so it kept building up, and we had roughly $250,000 in surplus. They said, why not put that money towards resurfacing the roads? We at that time said, we had no control over the roads. That's not our responsibility as selectmen in that location. So the other way of doing that would be to tax them so much for those roads. And they said, well, why do that? Why not use that $200,000 to resurface them? And that's what we did.
Okay. Sure. So I'm just, and I apologize, I'm not trying to litigate this, but how many people were at that meeting, and was there a vote taken, or some sort of census vote taken amongst the people at that meeting to make this decision?
You want to try to answer that? I don't remember how many were there.
I would say we had 12 to 15 people there representing it. We do have the homeowners association where people vote on our budgets. And we have an open meeting, or an annual meeting in October, which the commissioners were nice enough to attend, and we talked about that subject then. And at that point, we had probably 2/3 of the members represented to get a consensus of this would be something good for the community.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
Representative Merrow.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. You've taken out all of the money for streets and highways, and I assume these are not
state roads, I assume. So where's the money in there to maintain them or plow them? Is that, am I missing something or what?
Yeah, we as an association charge our membership dues.
Okay.
And the dues take care of our water, our trash removal, our snow plowing, and the maintenance. We are self-sufficient, except for fire and ambulance, which we pay a stipend to the county for those services.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, Representative Butler.
Thank you, Madam Chair. There are 160-ish residents in Hales location?
125 registered voters.
And you choose not to be an incorporated town because?
There's, seems to be a sentiment against it. There are those of us that have tried to open that possibility, and we get soundly defeated every time we have a vote on it.
If I could, there is legislation that was passed last year that allows them to do just that, but they have chosen not to move forward with incorporating. I would ask in your selectman's role, I would certainly ask that you determine if you can, why the students could not go to Freiburg Academy. And the second thing is to perhaps pursue some sort of more equalized cost for the voting, and with the town of Conway. And I would just ask that you do those two things over the course of the year. Yes.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. The first question's already been taken care of. Chatham sends their students to Freiburg, and it's considered a public school. But as far as Hales location sending them, it's considered a private school, so it cannot be funded by the state. The argument is, why is it for one town and not for the other? And you folks, if there's anybody here on the Education Committee, that might be something worth looking into.
Thank you. Arts location sends its couple of high school students to Freiburg Academy.
They do?
We do.
So I would just ask that you pursue this with the Department of Education, and we will, as representatives, will also take a look at it. If you run into problems, please let us know. But I think that we maybe need a little bit different look at it, and I'll be happy to help you out with that. So just let me know what you've done, who you've talked to, and we'll see what we can do beyond that. I mean, there are drawbacks to going to Freiburg, like no transportation, you know.
The difference between 18,000 and 32,000 is a big incentive.
All that, you know, that goes with it, so, yes.
Thank you. I just would point out that if this sort of thing keeps happening, it's going to be fewer and fewer less communities at Kennett High School paying for it. The rest of the town's going to have to make up this difference. I mean, you're either part of the valley or you're not, you know. Thank you.
Okay.
Madam Chairman, just one further comment. I believe that the charge for students going to Kennett or to that district, Hales location doesn't pay for any capital improvements. So that's why it's so high.
I understand. Okay. Any other questions, comments? Okay, Ed, sorry, Representative Butler, would you please call the roll?
The motion is to adopt the proposed budget for Hales location, and Representative Ahlgren?
Yes.
Representative Bucco is not here. I'll vote yes. Representative Chandler?
Yes.
Representative Cordelli?
Yes.
Representative Crawford?
Yes.
Representative Lavender?
Yes.
Representative McConkey?
Yes.
Representative Merrow?
Yes.
Representative Nelson?
Yes.
And Representative Schmitt?
Yes.
Representative Ticehurst?
Yes.
Representative White?
Yes.
Is Representative Wright here?
No.
No.
And Representative Umberger?
Yes.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 yeas, no nays.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Okay. I would like to have a motion, if we could, to approve the minutes of our February 22nd meeting.
I'll make the motion.
Okay, do I have a second, please?
Second.
Okay. Yeah. Representative Lavender. Thanks, Don, I'm sorry. Okay. Are there any corrections, additions? Yes.
Yes, on the next to last page, under motions, the motion to recommend spending $20,000 for the start of the performance audit, and it's noted that all were in favor, but I am absolutely not in favor of that and wasn't at the time, so I think that should be corrected.
And I'm sorry, where is that
The
again?
next to last page,
At the bottom of the page.
very bottom of the page.
Yep. Got it.
I did, there are two.
Yeah, I didn't vote for
There was-
it.
yeah,
I
I
didn't
think-
vote for it.
Right.
That's at least two.
Yeah, there was at least two.
There should be a sheet, a motion sheet on that, and we will correct that to what the motion sheet
I think it was 2.
says.
I had to note that it was 7 to 4.
I don't know.
Oh, okay, right.
So if we could, we'll correct that with the appropriate thing, okay? Is all in favor of the minutes as amended?
Aye.
Raise your hand. Thank you, unanimous. Okay. The budget. At our last meeting, we went through all of the various agencies and indicated on several that there were no changes, and that, so what I'd like to do at this point is to review those again. If there are no comments or recommended changes, then we will vote on those as a package after we go through them. And then we will move on to the areas that were in question based on our last meeting. So if we could, this is the commissioner's budget. Any comments? Treasurer?
Yes, if I could. I
Oh,
had,
you were not fast enough.
I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. Representative Cordelli.
I was looking for some papers. I had taken a little bit different approach in looking at things, and hadn't done it department by department for a number of areas. One of my concerns had been travel expenses, dues and licenses, and education and conferences. With so many of our residents having difficulties and not being able to take vacations, I wanted to take a look and see if there were ways we could cut back on those line items across the board. And I can pass out, I did have proposed cuts to those 3 line items across the board, and you can take a look at those. I have a number of copies. And there's
There's a page for travel expenses, there's a page for dues and licenses, and there's a page for education conferences. And I made those determinations on possible cuts based on looking at actual expenses over the past couple of years. And I'm sorry if there was one or two copies that were not stapled. The machine ran out of staples.
Okay.
But for instance, in the commissioner's office, I was recommending a cut of $2,000 to travel expenses, for $800 to dues and licenses, and $1,200 to education and conferences.
Question?
Yes?
Yes, sir.
Obviously, I'm always in favor of cutting, but I don't know if one of the commissioners answered. Certainly, a large part of this travel expense money is the commissioner's mileage, et cetera.
That's correct.
You have, I'm sorry to, so it isn't just as easy as, I don't think it's as easy as just saying we cut this much, because I do believe you should get paid your mileage. I don't know how much of your proposed mileage in the budget is for your travel to and from here, and
That's it.
okay. This doesn't include, oh, so this is just your travel, it's not traveling off to conferences, right?
No.
So I guess I was,
I could be wrong. I could be wrong on that. It could be travel to the conferences. The conference and education, more registration in hotels if that happens to fill in there. That's strictly mileage.
this travel expense, if I may, this travel expense is mileage, right?
Yep.
So if I could follow up. So in this travel expense line item of $7,000, that is strictly the commissioner's mileage from home to the county complex.
Right.
When you meet.
Right.
And that's $7,000 a year?
Yep. Well, as you can see, last year it was over 7,000 in travel.
So I would speak against any cut there. I'm sorry, but they deserve to get paid mileage.
Yes.
I tend to, I agree with Representative Chandler, and I think we went over all of these when we did the budget, because of what they were for. I may be wrong, but, and I don't mind cutting them where they need to be cut, but I think we need to know on each of these what the heck we're cutting, and we don't. So without knowing that, I guess I'm inclined not to do it, but I would certainly do it if we really knew the details. But I thought we went over this when we did the budget. Maybe I'm wrong.
We did, but I'm not sure
Okay.
that, any one of us has an opportunity
Yeah,
to
I
bring
know,
forward additional cuts,
Okay.
and that's why we're here. So, on the commissioner's budget, is there a second to Representative Cordelli's motion?
Well, I hadn't actually made a motion.
Okay. So we're not, are you happy that we ignore your 2,000 in the commissioner's budget? For travel?
I will not make a motion concerning
Okay.
the commissioner's budget.
Okay. The next one is dues, license, and subscriptions. And there was a recommendation to reduce that by $800 in the commissioner's budget. Are there any comments? Yes,
Well, could we
Representative
just ask, since we have the numbers, but we don't have any, are there any specific dues, licenses, or subscriptions that we think might not be necessary? Or are these just more or less percentage figures, or just, I don't understand the.
Well, if I might, if you look at last year's costs, it was $10,838.
Right.
And they budgeted an additional $1,000 in that area. Okay. And so I think that what Representative Cordelli is suggesting is that we don't raise that by 1,000, but rather raise it by 200.
So my question is, why was that figure chosen? Was there a particular dues that was, you know, it was his opinion wasn't necessary?
Go ahead.
Oh, was it an opinion?
Is there a may I ask if there's a particular?
Well, I would suggest that you ask the commissioners why they had a $1,000 increase in that line item.
May I ask the commissioners if there's a particular new item or increased item under that category?
The major item under that category is the dues that we pay to the New Hampshire Association of Counties. And as I said to the subcommittee, one of the programs that they provide is for prescription drugs. We take in about 4,000, we don't take in. The residents of Carroll County that apply for that, it comes up to $4,000 a month, so we definitely get our money back as a member of the New Hampshire Association. We don't know whether those dues are going to be going up or not. That's why that was put in there.
Okay?
Thank you.
Do I have a motion to reduce the dues and license subscription by $800?
The motion's been made, Madam Chairman?
You didn't make a motion, you just...
I'd make a motion to reduce it by $800.
Second.
Second?
Reduce it by how much?
So the...
$800.
Do you want that? Okay.
Yeah. Well, actually, no. We can just do it. If nobody has a problem, we can just do it by raising our hands.
Madam Chairman?
Because we will vote by record on the bottom line.
If you, Madam Chairman, if you look back at 2010 and 2011, it was 11,496, 11,943. Why it was less this past year, I'm not sure, but previous years it was over 11,000. We try to save it wherever we can.
Representative Merrow?
Thank you. You know, this really bothers me. I don't mind cutting anything. In fact, I'd cut every one of these, but I hate to sit around a table like this without having to back up material, particularly since we've gone over it once, to just what appears to be arbitrarily cutting these. So I can't, I would vote for it if I had some material.
Fine.
I can't vote for any of these.
That's fine.
Madam Chair, was there a second to that motion?
Yes, Representative McConkey.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Representative Ahlgren?
Thanks for recognizing me. And I guess this goes along with Representative Merrow's point is that, I mean, do you have a breakdown of the dues and subscriptions that you have coming up this year, and what do they add up to, and what, you know, and is it 11,800 or is it 10,800? Do you have that? Did you add those up?
And get that information if you would like. I just don't. I can go down and get the numbers.
Based on the lack of that information, at this point, I'd withdraw my motion if the seconder would do likewise.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Now that we have no changes to the commissioner's budget, can I see a show of hands on approve?
One other question on a line item that is in the commissioner's budget, two actually. One is the Ossipee town expenses. I think in our early January meeting there was a question that had been raised about whether we would be paying town taxes or not, whether other counties pay town taxes, and I don't know if there was an answer. Excuse me, but I can answer that.
You can't put that hat on.
No.
Okay. Commissioners,
That's for board. We have.
Madam Chairman, what the question was at the last meeting, I believe, is what do we pay taxes on and what we don't? And I did go back and check that.
all right,
And that's what I wanted to say.
All right.
The only thing that you pay taxes on is the property. No, you don't pay it on the building, but the property that's in current use, like you're using for the woodlands and that stuff, then you pay the taxes
on. Commissioners, did you check with other counties to see if they were paying current use?
Other
tax?
counties pay taxes.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions or comments?
This is really the information technology line item, and I know that it's come up before. And since there was a charge within the commissioner's budget, I thought I'd bring it up now. I had raised the issue previously that if you added up information technology line items across the board throughout the budget, it came to somewhere in the $135,000 price range, whereas the contract that we have with our IT service provider is $102,000 a year. And so the question was, what is the reason for that overage? And Ms. Gary had gotten back to me on Friday afternoon, and I think that the indication was that it also included Chronos support and maintenance, website contract, licenses. The jail has 3 new computers, and other items such as battery backup, switches, etc. And I'm confused about IT expenses in general, because it had been my impression, based on those discussions, that that information technology line item was each department's share of the cost of the contract for IT services. Computer expenses line item included software maintenance costs, those types of things. And that the equipment line items would include any new computer equipment as well as other types of equipment. So here we see that other software maintenance is now included in information technology line items. Equipment, maintenance of software, upgrades to software is all included in the information technology line. And I just don't know how we can accurately look at IT expenses when they're scattered throughout the budget to different departments and even different line items within the department. There is no way to appropriately get a handle on what is going on with the information technology costs for the county.
Are there any other comments on that? Commissioners? Oh, yes, Representative Butler.
Thank you. So does this beg not necessarily a question on this budget, since things have been allocated in the way that they've been allocated, but that it suggests a need for the future to work with the commissioners on how those expenses are allocated so that we have a better sense of what they are?
Both.
I don't see how we can do that in this
right,
budget.
From my point of view, it's extremely frustrating not being able to have the information available when it's, spread throughout, seedlings planted throughout the budget. So I don't know what's appropriate. One related question that came up in the last meeting, I believe it was the last meeting, actually a couple of meetings ago, was that there was an equipment inventory being done of all the computer equipment that was due by the end of February, and I was just wondering if that had been received.
We have it.
Okay.
We have it.
If I could get a copy of that,
Yep.
it might be helpful. So I don't know if there is anything we can do in relation to that for this budget, but there was a comment, I think, from the public earlier about information technology, and I am maybe as equally frustrated as that gentleman at this point.
Yes, Representative Chandler.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And to me, this whole thing is foreign to me anyway, so that's fine. I just would point out that in fairness, the commissioners, for some time now, we kind of asked to do it this way. So it's not their fault. In a number of areas, we asked to be broken out. And I don't know which is the right way or not, and we've done that with maintenance and equipment, different things, allocated to each department, the way they saw that it was the appropriate amount. So I guess, like I said, I'm not going to get into the fray of which is the best way, but I'm just saying the way they're doing it is what, for some time now, we have requested them to do it by department, that's all.
Okay, I think that what we could ask, Representative Cordelli has graciously agreed to be on the IT committee. And I would suggest that this be one of the issues that the IT committee tackles for the best way to identify the costs for hardware, software, and contracts. And that I think that at this point, there's one of those things that there's not a lot we can do within this budget, and I'd rather not try to do it this year. But I certainly understand where you're coming from and how it might be helpful to us. But I would certainly ask that you take that up with the IT committee and make a recommendation back to the commissioners so that next year's budget could reflect how we stand here. So, okay.
Madam Chair.
Yes.
Along those lines, it's just not the IT budget. When you look at the budget in total, and if we have 20 budget lines that frankly repeat for every department here, so there's consistency in the budget lines. But even looking at the jail, there are inconsistencies between the new equipment line, the capital line. So clearly there's not a great understanding of what should be on each line. And I would really like to see the commissioners prepare an instruction manual as to what should and should not be included on each line as a guide for your department heads. But frankly, as a delegation, we sit here every year, and then we come to a line and we say, why is this spiked up? And then you find out, well, A, we have probably a good reason for it, but it doesn't belong there, it belongs here. And I think that's an inconsistency that's right across the board. So it's just not limited to IT. I think that's an issue you really need to get your hands around.
Okay. All right. Commissioner's budget. All those in favor, raise your hand. Opposed? Thank you.
Point of order, Madam Chairman.
Yes.
When you approve the departments, would you mind giving the total for each department as you go? Like the total for commissioners that you just voted on?
$235,351 for the commissioners.
Oh, you want the money?
Yes, the money total. Thank you. Not the people.
Yeah. Okay, I'm sorry. I know that Representative Cordelli had proposed some cuts for travel, dues and subscriptions, and education and conferences across many different areas. And I guess that I'd rather not spend an hour on each part. And so I would ask if that we just take a vote as to whether or not we want to pursue looking at these three areas across the board, or we want to let things stand as it is in the budget. Okay? Yes.
Madam Chair. I know that in the nursing home budget, and I assume in all the subcommittees that met relative to each of the budgets, that the line items were pulled apart piece by piece. And as much as I understand the perspective that it may be possible to make further cuts, and that there may be some areas where we want to discuss specifically, it just seems to me to be too broad a brush to look at all of these at this time. So I would ask that we consider line items within the budgets as we go through them, each of the budgets, but not to accept this broad stroke at this time.
I would be glad to bring up individual items that I think appropriate as we go through the departmental budgets and do it that way.
Okay. I just don't want to get into travel expenses and everyone and so on. So if there are. Okay, the treasurer. There was no change on.
I move to approve $6,267.
Do I have a second?
A second.
Okay, Representative Crawford. All those in favor? Okay, opposed? Special fees and services, $30,000.
Move to accept.
Well, you can have the motion and I'll ask my question.
Okay, you may ask your question.
Thank you. I see there's a 12% increase in the county auditor's line item, and I think there had been a question previously, and I can't recall if there was an answer as to whether we have a contract with the auditor currently.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do.
And do you know?
We will be going, next year, we'll be going out for a bid.
Okay. That would be fine, and so this would be the following budget, the RFP would be related to. And if I could mention, I'm going to be on the Performance Audit Committee, and I've been in contact with the state auditing people to get information from them, and we can also get information from them about not just people capable of doing performance audit, but doing financial audits as well. And I would like to be able, if appropriate, share that information with the commissioner, so when the RFP is done, you know, we have a full range of people that goes to.
Thank you.
Clarification, you would like to have the auditing firm also do the...
Not the same one, no.
Not the same one?
No.
Okay.
Okay, all those in favor of $30,000 for the special fees, raise your hand.
Aye.
Opposed?
And I'm sorry, that second went by me too fast. Who got that set? Who seconded that motion? It was Representative McConkey and Representative Chandler.
Okay, human resources and services. Could I have a motion to approve $158,612?
So moved.
Okay, Representative McConkey, Representative Crawford seconds.
Thank you.
Discussion? Yes?
I do have a question, if there's anyone who can answer it, about dues license subscription. Went up to $600. The budget last year had been $100, and it had been under $100 in each year prior to that. So I was wondering the $500 jump in that line item.
I don't know the answer to that right offhand. We have, as you know, a new human resource person. She wants to get as much information as she can to do her job, and I would suspect that that's why that $500 was increased.
I would make a motion that we decrease that line item by $500.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay. I have a motion and a second to reduce the dues and license subscriptions from 600 to 100. Okay, all those in favor, please raise your hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Those opposed? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Motion fails.
Madam?
Yes?
I'd like to make a motion to reduce it by $300.
Okay. Do I have a second?
$300.
Second.
Okay. Representative Nelson and Representative McConkey. Okay, any discussion? Yes, Representative White.
I'm not so opposed to reduce it as I am to not vote for it because I don't have the information. I don't think it's fair to vote on it unless we know what we're voting on.
Representative McConkey.
Thank you. Thank you, Representative White. My concern is the discussion from the commissioners previously was that the rate had gone up and down, monies to be expended. This one apparently, according to Representative Cordelli, has been at $100. The commissioners were asked why the raise. They have no idea why the raise. I support the reduction.
Representative Ticehurst.
Hi, I don't have a good enough memory to remember why this was recommended previously, but I assume there was a reason, and if we cut it in half without knowing if that cuts out a half a conference or what the effect is, then I just don't think it's a very effective way to make decisions.
Point out this isn't for conferences.
No, this is dues.
Okay.
Okay.
Same principle.
Commissioners, I would ask that we pass over this until you go get someone from HR.
Yep.
And we'll come back to HR.
Thank you.
Thank you. I would think that that might have been something you did, but, okay. Oh, wait. Waterworks.
Move $52,741.
Do I have a second? Representative Merrow. Any discussion? All those in favor? Opposed?
Madam Chairman, I move attorney $476,818.
I'll second.
Representative Merrow seconds. Any discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? One? That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 in favor, 1 opposed.
Thank you.
Registry of Deeds. Oops, did I skip one?
Madam Chairman,
Oh.
move $108,847.
Representative Lavender seconds. All those in, any discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? 1. What do you have? 1, 2, 3, 11, 1, 12, 1.
12-1?
So we have 13. Okay. I could do better if I could count. Okay, Registry of Deeds.
Madam Chairman, I move $532,960.
Second.
Representative Merrow seconds. Any discussion? Okay, no discussion. I'll call for a vote. All those in favor? Opposed? Everyone in favor, 13-0. Okay, the Sheriff's Department, we're skipping. Dispatch, we're skipping. Medical referee.
Madam Chairman, I move $14,400.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion? Okay, all those in favor? Opposed? 13-0. Administration Building.
Madam Chairman, I move $185,503.
Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Is there any discussion? All those in favor? 13-0. Human Services Department. As you can see, the only thing here is the tax that we pay to the state. Okay, do I have a motion?
Madam Chairman, I move $4,107,954.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor? Opposed? 13-0. Maintenance.
Madam Chairman, I move $91,831.
Second.
Second by Representative Merrow. Is there any discussion? All those in favor? 13-0. Sewer system.
Madam Chairman, I move $48,502.
Second.
Representative Merrow seconds. Any discussion? All in favor? 13-0. Jail or skipping at this point? Farm.
Madam Chairman, I move $177,373.
Do I have a second? Thank you, Representative Lavender. I had the first name, I just couldn't get the last name rolled out.
I don't have a problem at all with the representative's name.
Oh, good.
My color legislation.
Yeah. Any discussion on the farm? All those in favor? 13-0.
13.
Opposed? 12-1. Cooperative Extension Services.
Madam Chairman, I move $225,427.
Second.
Second.
Had me going, huh?
By Representative
Swayed by the conversation, I guess.
Oh, is that it? Do I have any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? 13-0. We're going to skip interest expenses. Long-term debt.
Madam Chairman, I move $1,852,487.
Okay, do I have a second? Shall we pay our debts?
I'll second.
Representative Merrow seconded. Shall we pay our debts this year, or shall we default? Oh, okay, all those in favor? Opposed? 13-0. Okay, regional appropriations, we're gonna skip over. Carroll County Convention, we're gonna skip. Capital expenditures, we're gonna skip. Mountain View Annex. Because we made changes. Okay, we're just gonna go back and get all the changes. Okay, Mountain View Annex.
Madam Chairman, I move $15,400,000.
That's the general fund.
Yo, I like that. I'm liking that one.
We are going to have
Madam
really
Chairman,
nice
I move $30,000. Thank you, Representative,
Thank
for
you.
that correction.
Do I have a
We'll have
second?
some fun spending that one.
Do I have a second? Representative Nelson.
Been an issue with it.
Yeah. Do I have any comments? All those in favor? Opposed? 13-0. Did we have changes at the nursing home?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Got those out of the way. So if we could, you all received a little packet here. The first one is the jail. And that can be found someplace.
Yes.
In here, in the big package. Yeah. Page 23. Thank you. Page 22. Okay. Representative Schmitt.
Yep. I don't have any objections to it. I would like to talk to the capital line, however.
Okay.
And I think my hearing clearly is not what it used to be.
The capital line.
On the capital line.
Which?
That's on, well, and this thing you hand me is page 1.
No, that's not, we're not talking the capital budget yet. We're just talking the jail budget.
All right.
We had 2 reductions, one under education and conferences,
Yep.
and one under travel and expenses.
And I would recommend that we go ahead and make those reductions.
Okay. Are there any other comments, questions?
Could you, excuse me, would you tell me on this smaller, newer sheet that we were handed today for education and conferences, it says 14,000?
Mm-hmm.
And that is a reduction from the bigger package?
Yes.
Not on mine.
My bigger package is
12,000.
Right, so this looks like an
Oh, I'm
increase.
sorry, it's an increase.
Okay.
It was an increase. And Representative Schmitt.
So we're reducing.
No, I'm sorry.
What we did here is we had shifted dollars in the line. We took the training for the new correctional officers and put that into the line where it belonged, which was the academy line. But I'm not aware of any other reductions that we had made. We basically did a shift. I don't know where this increase came from.
The bottom line is the same. I think we just moved it around.
All right.
The bottom line is the same.
Kathy has information.
Yes, Kathy.
That was from your notes. You decreased the travel expense $3,700 to 2,050 and shifted that difference to the education and conference line.
Okay.
That was in your notes.
And that resulted in an increase?
No.
No, that should have been a wash.
Right. Yeah, the bottom line.
The bottom line is the
I
same.
see. So the money from travel and expense went to education.
Education. Okay. Okay. So could I have, are there any other comments on that? Could I have a motion, please?
I'll make a motion to approve the jail budget as stated.
Yeah, but read it off. 3,381,263. Do I have a second?
No, second.
Representative Crawford? Okay, questions, comments? Yes, go ahead, Representative Ahlgren.
Yeah, I apologize. I probably should have spoke up just a little sooner, but on the line of meals, which is 6,100,051, I'd also like to footnote that on that line, that since the majority of this line is just a transfer of paying money to the nursing home food service, that this line can only be used for the transfer of funds for that purpose, and for any de minimis amount of food that they also stock. They buy some food that they keep there, just juice and whatever. But that money cannot be misdirected without our approval to, say, help supplement paying extra salaries. That was done a few years back. And I found in the statutes that we could footnote specific lines, particularly like in this case where this is just supposed, this isn't real money. This is money we're just using as a intra-departmental accounting mechanism.
It's real money.
But I mean, it shows up as revenue over in the nursing home.
Could you make that into a motion that says line item?
Do you want to just amend the motion that's on the floor?
No, I think we ought to
Yeah,
have a separate one.
Yeah, and I apologize for not speaking up a little sooner, but my
Oh, yeah, but we do have an amendment, we do have a motion on the floor. So why don't we take care of the bottom line?
Yes.
And then we can take care of that.
Right.
Is that all right?
Yeah, that sounds great.
All right, so we have a motion on the floor for the jail budget of $3,381,263. All those in favor, please signify by raising a hand. Opposed? 1?
Yeah.
2? Okay. 11 to 2. Okay, now.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Representative
I'd like
Ahlgren.
to make a motion that we, on the House of Corrections budget, line number 6100.051, that we footnote that line for meals.
That it can only be used.
That it may only be used for the transfer of funds to the nursing home and the de minimis amount of.
And may not be transferred to any other
Right.
account within.
Right.
So,
Yeah, I understand, but,
Okay.
It's for that purpose and the de minimis amount of meals that food that they purchase for the in-house jail use, and not to be transferred for the use for other purposes within that appropriation.
all right, that is a very long motion. So if you don't mind, I will try to make it a little shorter so that
Okay.
Representative Butler doesn't run his pen out of ink.
Thank you.
Okay.
Okay.
Representative Ahlgren moves that the dollar value in the meals line, which is 61,051, may only be used for food and may not be transferred or used for any other purposes without approval of the delegation. Okay. Does Representative Ahlgren have a second?
Second.
Okay. Representative McConkey. Okay, since this is outside our realm here of just approving the dollar figures, I would like to have a roll call on this.
Great.
We could?
Can I have a
Oh,
commentary?
is there further discussion?
No, they're just gonna vote for it, just on.
Yes, Representative Ticehurst.
Being new, I just wonder if this puts us in some danger of restricting ourselves, tying our feet, more or less.
No, the why I brought this up was because in a previous year, the superintendent and the commissioners actually used money, because this number is based on how many jail days we have. And so they actually, and since we didn't have as many people in the jail that year, they had extra money on that line. And they took that money and they transferred it to spend it on salaries or whatever elsewhere within the jail, which that year went over budget, its total appropriation. And I felt that that was particularly egregious, that they were taking this money and using it as an appropriation when it's truly supposed to be an in-house interdepartmental adjustment.
It's to defeat the prisoners.
Follow up? I understand the advantages of doing it as you've laid out, but I'm just wondering if it makes it difficult for the jail in any way.
Well, if they do, I mean, we can't always meet and vote to allow them to do it if we so choose. I think it's of our purview not to just let them do it under our current procedures.
Thank you.
Commissioner Babson.
Thank you. May I ask a question? Representative Ahlgren, what year was that they moved the money around? Do you know offhand?
My recollections was it was a couple years ago that occurred. But unfortunately, it doesn't, we just have actual figures. We don't have we don't see the budget versus actual, so it's hard for me just to pinpoint exactly without going through the old budgets. But
how did you follow up?
Yes.
How did you become aware that happened?
It was discussed during the course of that year's budget review when that happened. And I found that it was, at that time, that was a problem. It wasn't this current year, it was in the budget before, but the reason why I'm bringing it up now is because I came across this in statute that we are allowed to do that on specific lines. That's why I'm bringing it up this year instead of last year. I found the statute that would allow us to do it, so that caused me to move forward on it.
Madam Chairman, could I speak to that?
Sure.
We have a very low population in our jail presently. Mm-hmm. We are presently looking into possibly taking on some federal inmates or U.S. Marshal inmates. And we're going to be talking about a contract. We're looking at only 2 females maybe, not anything big, but just a couple that would increase our population, would increase our revenue as well. I know other counties, I've asked that, other counties are taking them on. One county, because they mishandled the U.S. Marshal, that Marshal pulled all the inmates out of that county, and they had planned on that income, and they didn't get that income. But I don't know if that's going to have an effect on the meals or not. Okay.
Thank you. All right. Yes.
Thank you, Madam Chair. If we do enter into any contract with the federal government for prisoner housing here in the jail, I would like to have that as a separate discussion here at the delegation. I think it's worthy of that before we get into anything like that. And 2, in terms of line item transfers, that procedure that Representative Ahlgren mentioned, I'd be more interested in information about that procedure, and if there is a current policy and procedures manual, I'd like to take a look at it, and who has the ability to authorize line item transfers and what dollar thresholds there are involved in that. I'd be interested in that information.
Yes. Yes,
Yeah,
Representative Chandler.
I would just point out, if the commissioners want to okay federal prisoners come into the jail, that's our prerogative, not ours.
Thank you.
Call the roll.
Okay. Representative Butler, would you please call the roll?
I would. And we're calling the roll on Representative Ahlgren's motion, seconded by Representative McConkey. Representative Ahlgren?
Yes.
Representative Butler votes yes. Representative Chandler?
Yes.
Cordelli?
Yes.
Representative Crawford?
Yes.
Representative Lavender?
Yes.
Representative McConkey?
Yes.
Representative Merrow?
Yes.
Representative Nelson?
Yes.
Representative Schmitt?
Yes.
Representative Ticehurst?
Yes.
Representative Umberger?
Yes.
Representative White?
Yes.
Vote being 13-0. We now have that done.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. The next sheet we have is interest income, or interest expenses. If I can find it here. Yes, Representative Chandler?
I move that figure, $1,012,262.
Okay, do I have a second? Representative McConkey. We reduced this by $40,000 based on the treasurer's move to do a line of credit. And so that seemed to be acceptable to him. And so.
Question?
Yes.
Do we need to vote on projected income, since we really?
We haven't gotten there yet.
Okay.
We will.
We will.
The answer is yes.
Yes, but not yet.
All right.
All right, any other discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Okay, done. Commissioner, did you find someone from HR to?
HR.
Yeah, the human
Yes.
resources?
It's dues to a professional human resource organization where she claims she can call and get free information regarding legal matters. And that's why she put it in there.
Okay. The motion that we had on the floor was to reduce this by $300. So, this, did you have more discussion?
I just had a question on this legal stuff. Doesn't the county have an attorney, or can't you use municipal or somebody else other than using somebody where you have to pay for it? I'm not sure.
We
how
do
that
use
ties in.
both. Sometimes the county attorney can help us. The insurance company, Mike Ricker, defends us if we go to court.
Representative,
I guess
did you have a
the only
follow-up?
follow-up is, I guess if we can go to these places and get information, or municipal and so forth for nothing, why do we need this? Why would we need this?
Representative Butler?
She says it's a valuable thing.
Yeah, I would support keeping the $600 as requested. Human resources legal issues, I think, are specific enough that if our director had access to human resources specific legal information, I think that would be really useful. And knowing the legal expenses we've had on personnel issues over the past year, I think that it could be very well spent, and we should look at it next year knowing that. But I think I would give the new director that support.
Any other comments? Okay.
The motion by Representative Nelson, seconded by Representative McConkey, is to reduce the line from 600 to 300.
All those in favor?
Live action, yeah.
All those in favor, please raise your hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 in favor, and that's 8. 8 and 5 is 13. 8 opposed. Motion fails.
I have a comment to make. Commissioner Sorensen just said that it is, that she said it is free legal service what she's getting. So why are we paying the 600 then?
That's for that's for the membership in
membership. Okay.
So you need to pay membership and then you get it.
Well, we already voted on it.
Okay.
So let's go move on.
Could I have a motion on the human resources budget, please?
Lost it.
158, 612.
Move 158, 682.
612.
612.
Do I have a second? Thank you, Tom. Thank you, Representative Lavender.
Spread the wealth.
Okay. All those in favor? All those opposed? 12-1. Okay. Regional appropriations. Requesting a $2,000, or identifying a $2,000 increase to their budget to support Carroll County Transit.
Madam Chairman?
Yes?
I move $201,425.
Do I have a second? Representative Lavender.
Oh, we're not voting on these individually, apparently.
Discussion?
Oh, I see what you're saying.
We're just asking.
No, I don't think you need to, do you?
Well, I do, but I may be in the minority on that score, I don't have any doubt. But I will raise my objections to the 2,000 for Carroll County Transport based on the fact that we've had somewhat of a long-standing, although any tradition can change, I guess, that if agencies come here, or that they don't go to the towns, or if they go to the towns, they don't come here. And I just think that's been a policy that's served us, I think, pretty well, and we should continue to stick to it, in my opinion.
Okay, so Representative Chandler moves that we divide the question. Do I have a second? What that does is allow us to vote on each one individually. Okay. Representatives White, Cordelli? Okay.
Either one.
That's fine.
Okay.
Both.
All right.
So I guess I would move where you reduce that line to line 9180.089 to 0.
Do I have a second? Representative Nelson, second. Would someone, any comments? Yes?
Well, if the purpose of reducing it is just to avoid having the question asked both in the county and in the town, I don't think that's necessary, because we can make our decision here and then the towns can decide whether they add to that or don't add to that.
It's a duplicate.
I agree with Jean on this, because if we, because there are so many nonprofits and other organizations that go to the towns and request the money, and that's coming, and that gets approved by the voters of that town, or it doesn't get approved. And I think by coming here, it's a double dipping situation. I think that we should let it go to the town level and let the voters decide at that level. So.
Representative Nelson.
My concern is we have some towns that are not represented by this service. You know, Brookfield does not get service from these folks, Wakefield does not, and we have some other towns. So for that reason, I would say it should be left to the towns.
Are there additional?
If it's an either-or situation, they're gonna get more money just by going to the towns, because they're asking each town probably for at least $2,000. And so if you add up the towns, they're gonna get more from going to towns than if the towns dropped them, which they might not do anyway, but if that was the thought, they'd be better off just going to the town.
I agree with that, totally. It would have to be for next year, though, because all the
Yeah,
warrants
they're
are
all in this year.
Right.
Okay. Any other comments?
I have a point of order.
Sure.
For some understanding, if Representative Chandler's motion holds and that bottom line is reduced by $2,000, do the commissioners then have the authority to spend the remaining $199 any way they choose to?
What do you mean? Oh, the bottom line.
Because you're only voting on the bottom lines, right?
No, on this
No.
particular one, that was why
We moved to do.
That was why we
Each
moved
one?
to divide the question, so that we'll be voting on each one individually.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. We have a motion on the floor for Carroll County Transit at $2,000. Okay.
Excuse me, would you read the motion for me again?
Representative Chandler moved and Representative Nelson seconded changing the line for the Carroll County Transit, .089 to 0.
All those in favor, please raise your hand. This is to eliminate the 2,000. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. All those opposed? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
My hand is yes and not no.
6. Okay.
Don't count me, no.
So we have 7 in favor, 6 opposed. The $2,000 is removed. Okay.
Madam Chairman, I move 199,000.
No, we're gonna, we already
Each one.
agreed.
We're going line by
Each
line.
one, yeah.
Okay.
To move 50,000 for child advocacy.
Madam Chairman, I move $40,000 for Child Advocacy Center, and happy to speak to my motion.
Seconded.
Okay, I have a motion and a second to, for child advocacy to go from, well, at $40,000.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. I chaired the subcommittee on this. The subcommittee was not to change this amount. I'll speak on my thoughts on this. Child Advocacy is a very worthy organization. They do tremendous work. They're under the directorship of one person. 2 years back, I believe, they had opened a very nice facility in Wolfboro, and they also then asked to open a second location, a satellite location in Conway. We were told at that point in time that they had grant funds in place to pay for that extra location and that we would not be seeing an increased cost going forward. As it turns out, the grant funds did not come through the second time, and the treasurer that was here at the time said that they were not certain whether or not grant money was going to return in the future. And we had this great discussion when we had allowed the grant to happen in years previous, making the understanding known that we were not going to fund more money and that they needed to find this money on a continued basis or don't accept the grant. It is for those reasons that I am not in favor of funding the extra $10,000, and I move $40,000.
Okay. Any other discussion on reduction? Yes, Representative Butler.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Question to Representative McConkey. In terms of the ability for the Child Advocacy Center to access those needed funds, what will it do to programming? Were you able to explore that a bit?
Thank you, Representative. My understanding is that if the second location is not funded, that services will continue to be provided. It's the same individual. There is indeed a little extra travel time to get those people down to Wolfboro for this service. I will note that many states only have one location in the entire county, and some rural states even have one for the state.
Representative Ticehurst.
I'm wondering also about whatever was put into creating the space so that it was appropriate for this purpose. If we end up reducing this and we close the second location, would that be more or less a waste of the resources that we put into it so far?
Thank you for the question, and my understanding is that we were cohabitating space that was already there, and that room was being made available for us, and that we were sharing some other services that are there. It is my understanding that we will not be crippling that agency by pulling our support at this point in time.
Attorney Gordon.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The space that they're using is being able to rent a space at Children Unlimited, and it's worked out fabulously so that the people that need to be interviewed are not going to the police station. There's not the onerous aspect of law enforcement and, you know, men and women in uniform confronting a young victim. I can tell you the majority of the sexual assault accusations that we do get come out of the northern part of the county. We have a lot of people that have to travel from the northern part, North Conway, down to Wolfboro, and it does become a difficult, not so much for, I'm not looking at it in terms that it's a burden on the Child Advocacy Center, but it's more a burden on the victims and their families. When they have to travel, when school is in session, it's a lot easier for these families to go to a facility in North Conway than it is to go to Wolfboro.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Representative McConkey.
Thank you, and I appreciate the words of County Attorney. I will mention that the three areas that were identified as having the largest issues to date and chronologically are Wolfboro, Ossipee, and Conway, and that there was an effort many years ago to locate that location to a central spot, which would have been Ossipee. Some things happened. It went to Wolfboro. We embraced the move to Wolfboro, and at this point in time, I would stay where we are, which is Wolfboro. Thank you.
Any other comments? Representative Ahlgren.
Thank you very much for allowing me to speak, and I do agree that the Child Advocacy Center is very, very important. It serves a great purpose. I fully support what they do. You know, in my personal life, I supported them with some fundraising myself. But last year, I was the chairman of the subcommittee that took care of this, and they told us that they were opening up another office in Conway. I was very clear to them at that time that I didn't think that was a very good idea for some of the reasons that Representative McConkey has just enumerated. That for, you know, a population of 46,000, that it's probably not reasonable for us to have two of these spots, and the one currently is in Wolfboro, and where I am from, but the bottom line is I was very clear to them that if this was part of their decision tree, please be in the complete understanding that the delegation would not be interested in increasing their appropriation in the future. And so they came in with that situation with their eyes wide open that, you know, if you're making this decision, don't think that we're going to start raising your appropriation, because that's, I don't think, part of what we think the county should be doing. Now that's, so their eyes were wide open to this situation. So I just want to, you know, I'm very torn personally about how I'm going to vote. I haven't even decided yet. So I'm not going to say if I'm going to be in favor or against it. But I think it took a lot of courage for Representative McConkey to speak up under these circumstances, because it is a very difficult situation, and I felt moved that I should also speak to corroborate the information that he had imparted to us today.
For $10,000, okay. Yes, go ahead, Representative Schmitt.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
I know we all want to get out of here, so let's keep our...
Not me, I'm retired.
Oh, is that it? Okay,
I
okay.
can sit here all day.
And you have.
Would you like some more coffee?
I wish I was retired.
Having sat on that subcommittee and having listened to all the arguments pro and con, and understanding fully that child advocacy was fully informed of potential loss of grant money and what have you. However, having said all that, the addition of all the monies we fund, the last thing I want to do is to take away $1 from the child advocacy. I mean, if we can't find enough money to protect the very least of us, then I really got to question what we're doing here. I think the work they do is tremendous. I just don't want to apply the same standard to protecting children that I would apply to 4-H or anything else. Not to say we're going to cut 4-H. But I'm very reluctant to cut this. I'm willing to spend that money. I think it's money well spent. I think a presence up in the northern end of the county, you know, why wouldn't we do that? That's all I can say on the issue.
Okay. Representative Glod?
I strongly support Representative Schmitt in what he just said. And also, in conjunction with what Attorney Gordon said, I think the need is there. I think it's an important one, and I think there are some things worth funding, and this is one of them.
Are there any other comments? Representative McConkey.
Just quickly to answer, please don't misconstrue my statement. I have full support of children, youth, and these services. It's money spent for a location it doesn't need to be. Those services would still be provided. I respect your opinion and others. It's a matter not against the children. Thank you.
Any other comments? Okay. All those in favor of $40,000 for the Child Advocacy Center, please raise your hand. 1, 2, 3, 4. All those opposed? Okay, that must be 8, 9, 9 and 4. Okay. Motion fails. Do I have another motion?
I will move $50,000 for the Child Advocacy Center.
Do I have a second? Second. Okay, Representative Crawford.
Just a brief comment.
Yes.
I would say when we do set this precedent, we're encouraging people, instead of coming asking us, would we support an amount of money to expand, not just this program, but any program we have, we're encouraging them just go and do it and then come ask for the money. Thank you.
Representative Cordelli?
Just observing that this is yet another poster child for the dangers of accepting an operational grant to impact, a grant money to future operational budgeting.
And just
Representative Butler.
one quick comment on that. You're absolutely right. And hopefully when the economy is not so strapped, that money will be a little more available. But still, when we look at what programs we are supporting, we took money away from the transit. But we are talking about supporting the Child Advocacy Center, which deals with sexual assault to children. I think the issue of need and where money is best spent is well considered.
Any other discussion? Okay, all those in favor of the $50,000 appropriation for Child Advocacy Center, please raise your hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. All those opposed? 4. Okay, 50,000 it is. If no one has any objections, I would like to move to the capital expenditures, and the reason for that is Representative McConkey has to leave, and there are 2 issues that his subcommittee had, and if you would.
Thank you. Without objection, Madam Chairman, I have a doctor's appointment that's vital that I'm at in Boston, and I apologize for leaving. That's my reason. Under the farm, commissioners recommended an amount of $55,500 for a wood processing piece of equipment, and we've had extensive conversation over this over the course of 2 or more subcommittee meetings. Some cost benefits, profit loss statement. Something was asked to be broken down. In preparing the budget, they were using a number of $20,000 to $25,000 profit in the wood revenue made here. When we asked for continued breakdowns, The numbers that were brought forward were unclear, so that we were left as a subcommittee wondering if the profit was $2,500 or $9,000, but we certainly understood that it wasn't $25,000. There is already, I believe, $9,500 already in their previous monies we had appropriated towards the eventual purchase of a machine. Asked again just as recently as 2 weeks ago if the commissioners had new numbers, told that they did, asked for those to be distributed. They were not distributed. I'd like to mention that wood products, whether it be campfire wood or whether it be cordwood, is something that we on the county farm touch as much as 6 months out of the year. Benefits are limited and unknown. It is ill-advised to appropriate $55,500 at this time. I'd ask that this line be changed to 0.
It actually is on this sheet.
Yeah, so it would be remaining.
So,
Yes.
on this page we're on, so I'm recognizing that Representative McConkey on the first line would leave that 0, second line 0. Are you recommending 25 for the jail?
Correct.
What does that represent? I'm sorry to ask.
It was cut from $40,000, which, in my opinion, was cameras that we didn't need to expend all the monies, and also paving. So I would be moving under general fund total 25,000.
Second.
Okay. We have a motion and a second. I might point out that the $30,000 is for the impound yard, and that was recommended not to fund at 0 as well. So, is there any discussion on the capital expenditures? Yes.
Thank you, Madam Chair. On the 55,000, are we also striking the 9,500? Or is that carrying through?
That's 0. This
0.
motion is 0.
So we are striking the 9,500. Okay.
Representative Merrow? Oh, were you done?
No, I'm not done. On the, I'd like to talk to the jail capital, where we went down to 25,000. I would apologize to the subcommittee then. I think my hearing is going, what is going? I mistook the original request here for the replacement of 2 cameras. And in the interim, in the last few days, I got a letter from Superintendent Johnson where he explained the $40,000, which would include 8 cameras, the equipment necessary to make them compatible with the new system. It would also include the labor required to install it, and it would also include the replacement of 2 recorders which are meeting the end of their life. I'd kind of like to make a counter proposal on that. Originally they had 40. We had moved 8,000 for a total of 48,000 to include paving, which we later reduced to that. What I would like to do is to eliminate the paving altogether, which would pick up an additional $5,000. On the camera equipment and the ability of the monitoring there, I think is an integral part of the jail security. I think it's protective when it's done. It's enabling to let the captain and the superintendent more closely monitor the guards and the prisoners. The recording equipment, frankly, needs to be replaced. It's end of its lifespan. And I think it's integral to what the mission of the jail is. And that is to record as best we can, to protect prisoners, to protect the staff. And frankly, we have to realize that if it's electronic, it has a lifespan and it needs to be replaced. Having said that, I would concur that $40,000 seems high to me. I would like to eliminate the paving. I think we could take at least $5,000 off of here and go from $25,000 on this line to $35,000, which I think would enable the jail to take care of all the security that it needed to take care of, and move on. So that's my take on that.
Okay, so you would like to amend the bottom line to $35,000?
Correct.
Do I have a second? Okay. Representative White seconds.
Could I have a point of order?
Sure.
Just, so if we amend this to the number you just mentioned, what happens to the wood processor issue? Are we discussing that now? Do we have to vote down the?
No, these are all the capital expenditures, and they are.
Okay, but you have a motion for, was it 45,000?
35,000. That's what the motion is.
Okay, and so if we wanted to include something for the word processor, we would have to vote no.
Well, no. We can do.
Divide it.
We can divide it. We can do it individually. We can do whatever. Okay.
I would move we divide it. I don't know what I have to do it, but I'd like to look at the two of them separately.
Commissioner Sorensen.
Madam Chairman, for clarification, Representative Schmitt, do you want to raise the jail 25,000 or the bottom line 25,000?
Right now, what the motion is to raise the jail $30 to $10,000. And at
Right.
that point, it also
Okay.
changes the bottom line by 10,000.
Okay.
Okay, now, it appears to me that there's some mumbling.
I'm trying to speak clearly.
I shall.
There was some mumbling that folks would like to also divide the question here, so that we look at each one of these individually. So, is someone willing to make that motion?
Before I make the motion, the only thing that I would like, and I will make the motion, the only thing that I really want to have a chance to discuss separately is the farm portion on the wood.
Then we need to do
I
that.
guess we have to divide it.
Yes.
Okay, then I would move we divide it.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
No, I'm just gonna make a motion, are you ready?
Okay, go ahead.
I move that under administration building, that line be 0.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Comments?
Yeah, I've got comments. I guess I can discuss it now. This is the.
Administration building.
This is the administration building, the impound lot only.
Okay, no, I don't have any.
Okay? All those in favor of administration building line being 0, raise your hand. Okay, opposed? Okay, 13.
I would move the farm line item be 0.
Okay, do I have a second?
Second.
Discussion?
Discussion. I would like to discuss.
You may have
Yeah,
discussion.
I have a question on that. From everything that I've heard, I haven't seen it, the current wood processor is in pretty poor shape and needs repair occasionally, et cetera. The farm has probably, what, close to 1,000 acres?
800.
800 acres on the complex. Which tells me we're probably not cutting firewood up to capacity. And I know you generally sell everything that you sell.
Yep.
The price of wood is going up. It's gone up this year from 200 and outside. It's gone up from about $220 a cord, and I saw one yesterday for $275 a cord. You can probably buy it somewhat cheaper. But I think we're foolish not to buy a new piece of equipment for $35,000, which will last a lot of years.
55.
Excuse me, 55. How much is it?
Total 65.
65,000.
We want to raise 55 here.
We have 10, okay.
We already have 10 in
All right,
capital.
okay. I think that probably in the long term it'd be well worth it, because I think that's gonna last a lot of years, and I'm not sure that the one we got now is, and then where we're gonna be. So I think it's probably, and I'm not in favor of a lot of this stuff, but I think I am this. Give us a good income.
Representative Crawford?
I have a question. The old wood processor, is that something that you would trade in, or would you get any value from that, or would you still be using it?
We try to get value for it, maybe a trade-in. Yeah, it's 18 years, it's, 18 years old.
We paid 18,000.
Yeah, we paid 18,000 for it, and it's 18 years old.
So would that be something that would be going towards the cost of this?
Yes.
No?
I don't know what it would be worth.
Representative McConkey?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
In response to Representative Merrow, your comment that this is a good moneymaker, the commissioners have not been able to even tell us what that is. The number of $25,000 is clearly not what the number is, and we've seen numbers as low as $2,500. This department is farm and maintenance, or I'd like to remind you, as far as I see it, it's maintenance and farm. 6 months out of the year, sometime during that time, we are working on wood for a very, very limited return. They have $9,500 minimum in a fund to make repairs. They can continue to process what their orders are, and where it might be slower, over the course of 6 months, they've found a way to take care of it in the past.
Representative White?
Representative McConkey, so are you saying that we don't have any figures on how much money they've actually made selling wood?
Thank you, Representative. We have asked repeatedly to see a different round of numbers, and the number 25,000 has never stood the test of time.
Just a minute. Representative Ticehurst?
Thank you, Madam Chair. And I did sit in those meetings, and we did ask for information, and we did get information back from the commissioners and from the farm manager. And then we asked for more, and we got more, and we asked for more, and we got more. And every time that we've asked for information, they've done the work and reported.
So based on the information that you have received, what was the profit out of the wood?
I don't remember that figure off the top of my head, but I do remember that they did give us the information that we asked for. And also, I believe this is one of the few, if not the only areas that we actually derive income from. I think it's also consistent with our mission. It's certainly consistent with our history. It also provides benefits for opportunity for inmates to learn some work skills, get some experience. I see it providing a lot of benefits to the county.
Okay, thank you. Just a minute. Commissioner Babson, you had a comment?
Thank you. Yes, I do, Madam Chairman. This wood processor that we have, Representative McConkey is correct. We haven't been able to tie it down, whether it's 12,000 we make at the end of the year, or 2,000, or 25,000. But we're sure of one thing: we're generating a profit, no matter how you cut it. We're out here. We're in a situation that if this wood processor goes down, we're now Will has taken us from 0 bags of firewood 3 or 4 years ago to this year it'll be $2.75 a bag, roughly $28,000. Granted, it's not all profit. But if we can't supply that, somebody else is going to step in and say, I'll do it, and then that business is gone forever. Every bit of revenue we generate here on this facility is something that the taxpayer doesn't have to pay in the long run. Yes, it's a upfront investment of 55 or 65,000. We have 10 in reserve already, but we will, in 5 years, make our money back, and at that point, it's to the good of the taxpayer.
Okay, thank you. Representative Ahlgren, did you have your hand up before?
Not yet, but I may soon.
Representative Chandler?
I think those people you refer to that would take up the slack of providing that service, I assume those would be in the private sector, providing jobs to private sector citizens, perhaps?
Perhaps.
Thank you.
But on the other hand,
thank you. That's all.
Okay. Representative Cordelli?
Follow up on that, if I might. I don't know how selling firewood is a core mission of county government. And two, if we don't know the amount of revenue we're getting from that, I think that points up to an accounting problem too. Where is that money going to? Where is that money being deposited when it comes in as revenue?
Thank you. Representative Merrow?
Yes, I'd like to ask the Commissioner a couple of questions, if I may.
You may.
I don't really understand why you don't know how much money you're making. It would seem to me if you know, I guess you sell it by bag, but you sell it by the cord also, I believe.
Right.
I believe if you knew how much you sold it per bag and you know how much you sold it for cord and how many bags and how many cards you sold, and most of your people working on it are inmates, which probably is not the most expensive thing in the world for you to do. I don't understand why you can't give us a figure.
Will produced a very good defense for the wood processor. His minimum was 9,000, I believe. I went back and I refigured it, and I came up with 12,000. Now, if we had a logging job on our property, we could increase that for another 10,000. So that's $22,000 that we could derive from that. Our budget, question where does it show up? Shows up under sale of wood, and we estimated $30,000.
Thank you.
That's total.
Thank you. Any other representative? Nelson?
Any idea what we would get if we had it professionally logged?
Excuse
Income
me?
as if we had it professionally logged, or a section of it?
It should be done this winter, or early this spring, I should say. It's been marked, and it would be mostly firewood. It's from the ice storm damage that we haven't got to harvest, so most of it would be hardwood, which would go into firewood.
No, I meant if somebody, a regular logger came in, got a percentage of...
They get $30 a cord.
That's what they...
That's what they would charge.
Call the
Just-
question.
Just a moment. Just a moment, please. Okay, go ahead.
My name is Will DeWitt. I'm the fire manager here. I'd like to kind of give a little bit of my side of the story and hopefully
Okay,
clear up
we
some of
don't,
that.
okay. All I need is the discussion is, what's the profit?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I think, or the loss.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and that's where we are.
Okay.
Okay, I think we all recognize the value of the farm.
I'm not going to talk
Okay,
about farm. Talk
so
about the
we
wood in
just,
particular, ma'am.
we need to talk about the wood chipper
Yes,
and
ma'am.
why you think we ought to spend $55,000
Yes, ma'am.
plus.
First off, I did provide a lot of information to the subcommittee on cost per cord and those things, and it was very confusing. By the end of the meeting, I was confused, and I provided the numbers. I'll be honest, I probably didn't get my message across as well as I should have. But let me give a couple big numbers to start with the bottom line, which we normally talk about here at the delegation. $169,000 is what we spent last year on farm expenses. $137,000 is what we brought in income.
Excuse me.
That's
I need to know about the wood chipper, which is the only, or wood processor, which is the only thing we're discussing at this point.
okay. Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
So, being that 137,000, 40,000 of it is what was made off of wood. Now we want to debate the cost of per cord and all that. We're not here to do that, as the chairman has told me. But what I have proposed on the new wood processor, and comparing not what it costs to pay off the wood processor, the new wood processor, with the old wood processor numbers, taking numbers from the new processor to pay it off, I've come up with two scenarios that the commissioner mentioned. One, cutting wood off of our own property, which, yes, sir, we do these logging. We have professionals come in and cut the trees for us and leave it long late for us. Two is if we buy the wood in currently.
Okay.
Based off the numbers that we sold last year, I have two scenarios in front of me that I presented to the subcommittee. Both of them, if we buy wood in, it's going to take 4 years to pay off the wood processor. If we have wood cut off, which we do have plans with the forester to do, it takes 2 years to pay off the machine. And I can pass out, I have enough copies if everybody would like, I can pass that around. That's the bottom line. How we do the cord per cord, how many times we touch it, you know, there's been debates. I'm trying to build a pole barn because we touch it too many times. I have people telling me that we shouldn't give money to build a pole barn so we can't touch it so many times.
Okay, please, we're
I'd just like to
talking,
pass this around.
we're talking about the benefits of spending in this budget, $55,500 for the wood chipper.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Also, this is the third time I've come to the delegation about this piece of equipment. So I would ask that we could hopefully take some action on it, because it's getting to the point where I cannot get parts for this machine. I have to order them out of Canada. There's only 2 people in the whole shop that speak English when I get there, and I have to get one of them to get the parts. I was down over 6 weeks.
How much does it cost to rent a wood, whatever this is?
I don't think you can rent them, ma'am. I'm unaware of where you can rent them.
Okay, I asked
So
you.
it's, this machine will probably last us, I hate to put numbers to people because then I'm held to it, but I'm saying it should last us 10, 15, close to 20 years like our old one has for the type of production we do.
Thank you. Okay. Are there any other comments, questions?
I had other comments.
Yes.
Yes.
Follow up. If we sold the wood at log lengths, what would we get to sell it to somebody in log lengths? Is it still that 30 cord?
They don't know.
Yes, if you have an answer.
I could answer, yes ma'am, thank you. Sir, at this point, most of the firewood that would come off, it would be the market going rate when we buy it. Someone, assumingly, we would sell it for the same as we buy it in, which is around $1,400 for a truckload going out of here, is about the price, which is probably around $100 a cord, maybe, if that, just shy of that, is my guess.
More than that.
Thank you.
That's not right.
Okay, is anyone going to change their mind on their vote on the wood chipper?
Wood processor.
Wood processor? Okay, so please, let's keep our comments short. My goal was 12 o'clock, we've ruined it. So I want you to all know that. All right. Representative Nelson.
Question?
Yeah, didn't you have your hand up?
That is correct. How much do you think we would bring in selling those in a year? If we sold, not cut the whole place down, but cut down a section, say 100 acres, and we had sold wood off 100 acres, what do you think the income would be from that?
You can answer that.
Yes, Commissioner.
Madam Chairman,
Sorry.
first of all, we don't sell it by the acreage. We have a plan that was done by a forester to cut off certain sections of our property. I don't know what the estimate would be for the profit derived from that. As Will said, we're paying so much truckload. In our budget, it's what, $14,500 for 10 loads, and I believe they're what, Will, about 12 cords to the...
It's split and stacked, it's about just over 11 cords, sir.
11 cords.
Representative Merrow, you had your hand up.
Well, I just finished cutting some wood, and because I do that from time to time. And when a logger comes in and on the firewood, they buy the logs, and they generally buy it by the cord. And if you take in the fee for cutting it, transporting it, taking it to wherever else, you'll be lucky if you get $30 a cord on the stuff.
Thank you. Representative McConkey.
That's all right.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. And I just wanted to note that two weeks ago, when we had spoke on this subject last, commissioners were going to spend some time and review their report that they have that was prepared in the past on managing our own wood. What I just heard was 2 weeks later on what seems to be an important issue to the commissioners, they still haven't read this report and decided what it says about the sustainability and the profitability of our own land. We have $9,000 that's sitting in account for a wood processor. We don't know how much money we make. We don't know how much money we'd make if we sell part of our wood out there. It is ill-fated to put out there a number that we have no idea what the return is. I happen to have this box in my house that's called a computer. And every time I need a part, I go to that computer and I enter what it is I need. And if I'm buying from England or I'm buying from Canada, someone recognizes that language when it arrives there and can process an order. I suggest that we limp along with what we have because we are able to fill our orders. Our tentative schedule of sale is no larger right now with commitments than it was the year before. Patch together what you have and allow the commissioners, allow the good supervisor from the farm, Will, to put together a thoughtful presentation that shows us real numbers that we can hang our hat on in the back of the room. And until then, I will not support putting that money back in there. Thank you.
Thank you. Representative Schmitt.
I just wanted to make one more point on this that hadn't come up. What we're looking at here is a capital expenditure of $55,000 to enable us to harvest or cut 125 cords of wood. This machine, if it was a commercial application working for 200 days per year, could probably cut 10,000 cords of wood. So what we have here is a very expensive piece of capital equipment that upon the testimony of the farm manager will be utilized perhaps 20, 22 days per year when they actually perform this work. The subcommittee was absolutely convinced that those numbers don't work for a capital expenditure of this magnitude. No matter how you analyze it, it doesn't support spending that type of money. That's all I have to say on it.
Okay. Thank you. Yes, Representative Chandler.
I just want to point out that while the income on the farm does, on the sale of wood shows $30,000.
39.
Projected.
Actual.
The projected amount of the budget that you presented is $30,000. Do you have a disagreement with that?
Yeah, we took in 2012.
I'm talking about the
almost
budget.
$40,000.
If I may.
Yeah.
The budgeted amount that you have asked for this year is $30,000. That's just showing from income, from the sale of wood. You're also showing, I don't know how much of this, but you somewhere $15,000 to $17,000 for the purchase of wood. I only say this to point out that our net income is not $30,000.
Thank you. Are there any other discussion?
Call the question.
Okay.
I just have a quick question.
Okay.
So if people aren't in favor of buying the wood processor this year, and you've put money away in a capital reserve, I'm assuming, would it, if the majority is not in favor of buying it this year, would the majority be in favor of putting more money in the capital reserve for a future purchase?
That's another motion.
That's a whole other motion. Just, while I was asking, maybe a consensus.
Okay. I am talking about the 55.5 for the wood chipper, okay? And if you remember, Representative McConkey asked that we do this early because he had to leave for a doctor's appointment.
That's true.
Okay,
Madam
so.
Chairman, but I don't want to cut and part of things short because of that. I mean, this is important to the whole county.
I wouldn't argue with that.
My question is, can we make, I agree with something I heard here a minute ago. Can we agree to zero fund this until we get the complete report? And then if it's satisfactory, come back and raise more? Is that possible?
As I understand
Promotion
it,
like
that is possible, as long as it's done through.
Could I make a motion to that effect? Because
No.
we have one on the floor.
We have one on the floor.
Okay, all right.
Zero. Okay. Any other discussion? All right. All those in favor of $0 for the farm capital reserve account, please raise your hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You can always have a new amendment. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Opposed? 1, 2. I need one more opposed.
There was 11.
Oh, there were? Okay.
Yep.
All right.
Madam Chairman, may I now make a motion?
Yes?
I would move that that once the commissioners complete the report, that details everything, that we take another look at this, and if necessary, raise the money at that time.
If you don't mind, I would like you to go out of the room for a few minutes and figure out what a detailed report means. Because there seems to be some question in everyone's mind as to what that detailed report would be.
I don't need to go out of the room to do that. What I can give you may not be satisfactory to everybody. All I would simply want, I want to know how much wood we cut, how much it would cost us, what our potential for future income is, and how they intend to achieve it.
And how much do we buy?
And how much, yeah.
Okay. So the motion is a detailed report, including, Harry, would you go through those again?
Yes, I would move that we ask the commissioners to complete the detailed report, including the information that I just...
Yeah, but we gotta get it in the motion.
Okay, the report would include the amount of wood that they sell, the amount of wood that they anticipate on selling, the amount of, the details on the income to show where the profit is for the wood they sell, and also why they buy any wood at all.
Is that net income?
And after that's done, then I would move that we, after looking at it, we decide whether or not we want to appropriate any more money.
Okay. All right. Is that gross income or net income?
Net income.
Okay, net income. Okay?
If I may ask a question, when is this, I thought we were here today to finish the budget.
We are.
We are.
Well, okay, so when are we gonna do this?
We can amend the budget.
We can amend the budget. Maybe I should say come back and amend it, if the report's good. You may not want to do it. You can always come in and amend the budget. You can always have a meeting to amend the budget, right?
No.
Yes.
Well, once we pass it, you can pass a supplemental budget
Right.
or
Well,
something.
that's what I
if
meant,
you want,
supplemental,
but-
okay, supplemental.
Okay. All right, is there any discussion on the report from the commissioners? All right. All those in favor, please raise your hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Opposed? 4. Okay, motion passes. So, I don't want to leave this as an open-ended thing. And so I would expect this report to be available at our next meeting, which I'm not exactly sure when it will be, but it won't be until May, probably. Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Representative McConkey.
Good luck.
Okay, do I have any other motions on the wood processor? All right. I think the jail we've raised to 35,000, and we voted on that, right?
I don't think we...
Okay, all right. So that leaves us with still our bottom line of 35,000, right? Okay, should we vote? I guess we should vote on the 35 first, and then, okay.
Yep.
So could I have a motion to...
Representative Schmitt moved to amend it to 35,
Okay.
and Representative White seconded.
All right, good. So we already have that motion. I'm sorry we got tangled around some other things. All right. All those in favor of increasing the capital line for the jail from 25,000 by $10,000, please raise your hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Opposed? 3. Okay, so could I have a bottom line motion for the capital expenditures?
I'll move 35,000 on the bottom line.
Okay. Do I have a second? Representative Lavender? All those in favor, please raise your hands. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Sorry.
Opposed?
Apologize.
2. Okay. Our next, we were on regional appropriations, and I really want to thank you for getting that done. V&A and Hospice of Carroll County. Could I have a motion? Okay, Representative Schmitt, seconded, Representative Merrow. Is there any discussion on V&A? All right, seeing none. All those in favor, please raise your hand. Opposed? Okay, $70,000.
Oh, wait, they just,
Retired senior volunteer,
So moved.
$40,000. Do I have a second? Representative Cordelli. Discussion? All those in favor, please raise your hand. Opposed? 12-0. Conservation District.
So moved.
Do I have a second? $39,425.
Second is from Cordelli.
Cordelli. Discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? 12-0. Okay, could I have a motion for the bottom line of regional appropriations, which is $199,245?
I'll move that.
Okay.
I believe it was 425. Yeah.
Oh, 420, thank you. There's like 425.
I'll
Okay.
make the motion.
Do I have a second? Representative Lavender. Any further discussion? All those in favor, please raise your hand. 12-0.
Madam Chairman,
Yes,
you just passed 199,425,
that's correct.
and you put 50,000 back in for Child Advocacy Center?
It's in.
It's in.
I was in there.
You put in 50,000
Yeah.
though, right? Okay, thank you.
Okay. Turning to interest, did we do this one? Yeah, we already did that one. Okay. As I see it right now, we have done everything except for the jail and the sheriff.
And dispatch.
Yeah.
Convention.
Oh, and we haven't done the convention. Let's do the convention.
And the nursing home.
I think we did.
And the nursing home.
We did.
We did, yeah, we did part of the jail.
We did the jail, you're right.
Right, jail, yeah. The jail's done.
Jail and House of Corrections, we did, yeah.
Oh, we did the jail. Okay.
We didn't do the sheriff's department.
No, we haven't done the sheriff's department. We haven't done the nursing home.
And
Have we
dispatch.
done capital expenditures for, like, the extension and,
Yeah, we passed it.
We just did that.
Yep.
We did that.
Yeah, we did that. Okay, so I would like to go to the sheriff's department if we could. Okay? But first I'd like to take 5 minutes. Okay?
Yeah.
You know, get this stuff.
Sheriff's.
Go ahead, Jean.
I'm coming.
Very
Representative
good.
Crawford, what do
Yes.
you move?
Hold on.
Okay?
1 second, thank you. I move that we adopt the sheriff's budget at $1,803,887.
Do I have a second? Second by Representative White. Okay, I have 2 things that I would like to discuss about the sheriff's budget. The first one is I forwarded to Representative Crawford and to the sheriff the fact that the court bailiff figure that is in here of 123,293 is not what is budgeted in the judicial branch. Their figure was whatever I sent you, 75,9. And this is what they are planning to, they're planning to authorize for Carroll County for FY 14. So for, 6 months makes it roughly whatever that's divided by. So I question whether or not we should go with the 123. That's number one. And number two is that I think we need to have a vote on paying the bailiffs. They're paid $80 a day from the state, and we have historically been adding $5 so that they were at the same as the circuit court bailiff. And we have done that, but I think that we need to reaffirm that we want to continue to do that. So that's on the bailiff issue. And I realize that, part of this 123 is the extra $5 a day that the bailiffs receive. And that's where I'm coming from.
So, what number do you,
I'm on,
what number do you recommend? Let's make a motion and get on with it.
well, I can't make a motion until, we need a motion on whether or not we want to pay them the $5 a day first, extra.
I guess I would ask the sheriff what the difference between the two. How much is the county paying and how much is the state paying? Do you have that broken down?
If I could.
State's paying 80 in the,
No, I mean total. I mean, how?
out of the 123.
Exactly.
Out of the 122 that I have, is the state is paying 116 of that, pretty much. And the $5 a day for the bailiffs comes out to about $7,200, $7,250 is what the county pays.
Okay, thank you.
And that would bring them to equal pay as far as what the district court north is making, where it's a state bailiff, not our bill.
Understand that. So, yes, Representative Butler.
It gets more confusing. So the sheriff said the state pays 116. The 79 that you were referring to, is that not the 75, whichever?
Yeah, 75.9.
Sorry. Was that not what you assumed that the state would be paying?
That's what they
So they're
have.
reducing it.
That's what they have budgeted for 14 and 15.
Got it.
And I do not believe that that will go up. That's,
Yeah, those are figures that we obviously just received from you because those aren't figures that we had.
right, and I understand that. And I'm sure that part of the reason that they haven't sent them out is because they haven't passed yet.
Right, so it's really not a true number because it hasn't been passed by the legislature, right? That's part of the state budget. Is that what I have to assume?
Yes.
So could that go up or could that go down, or is that really, in past history, would that figure stay the same in the budget, or would people have a problem with it?
That budget will stay the same. Yes, Representative.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This so happens to be just another one of those lines where I wanted to put a footnote, since this is directly tied to what we receive in funding from the state, and such that, and it may help solve our issue here, is that the funds to be expended from this line depending on what we want to do with the $5. But the objective would be the funds to be expended from that line would be whatever the state pays to us to reimburse our bailiffs. And any additional amount may not be used to pay on any other line. So that might solve that issue of our concern that somehow the state is paying less than we've projected. And I can only imagine that being because they expect us to use less bailiffs than we told them we were going to use.
Representative Chandler?
I don't mind, well, I don't mind. If you want, if that motion, I think would be appropriate after we reduce this amount to something, at least what we know is the state's gonna pay us. The other line, when you did that on the meals, was accurate representation given the time that we were talking about, per se. This is not, apparently. If the state's only gonna pay us $75,000, I certainly hope we're not gonna make up the difference in a state courtroom. So this line item should be reduced, depending on what happens with the $5 bailiff thing, to somewhere either $75,000 or $82,500. And then you make it.
But the footnote to the footnote would be that this line would be limited to whatever we were appropriated from the state. So they couldn't start spending more than that amount.
If I may, I understand that, but we don't want any, that whole increase in the budget. We want to reduce the budget by that amount. And then you can still make your footnote motion.
I don't necessarily.
Representative Hoyt.
With the reduction from the state, are they just trying to downshift and have us pick up the other amount? Or are we going to be losing bailiffs? Is that what?
Or cutting court days.
And dates. Oh, wow. And does it impact other things, not just the bailiffs? Are they talking about that's what they're going to do and that's why there's not going to be a need for bailiffs? Okay.
The judge isn't coming.
Yeah, there you go, right, so it makes sense.
It's, as you know, the governor requested a 3% cut in all areas, and the courts fell in line with that, so. Because there wasn't a dollar. Okay, Representative Crawford.
Yes.
I'll be right with you. You had a comment?
Well, when I just do a quick math, that's $41,000 less for bailiffs out of the state portion. If it's 116 at the state that we have budgeted for, and the 75, I just rounded it off, it's $41,000 less in that budget. So I have to assume that we would have to use bailiffs $41,000 less in order to keep this line intact with. Because if the state's not getting this anymore, and this delegation isn't willing to ante up any more money, then they'll have to just work with it, I guess.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
If I could.
Sure.
If Representative Ahlgren's motion does happen, I'm careful on the wording, because if we're also going to be cutting bailiff days, you're probably going to be using deputies to do transports and court security as far as moving prisoners in that building. Some of that reimbursement is to so-called part-time deputy bailiffs that move prisoners and do court security. So the wording on that should be appropriate if that's the way it goes. But I just met with Chief Justice Delanus, and she gave no inclination that this dramatic cut is going to happen. And if you're cutting $40,000 by doing it by days, that's going to put the county attorney and the court system, which is already in complete chaos.
I am not in charge of the courts.
Just saying that.
Okay.
I don't see that happening.
I will not argue with that. Especially since our prisoners are staying in our jail 356 days before court thing. So, anyhow, so I need a motion if I could. First of all, can we do a motion to pay the bailiffs an extra $5 a day?
We have the motion to accept the bottom line budget already. Do you want to withdraw that?
I can withdraw that.
Okay.
Okay. Can I get a motion for the pay the bailiffs $5 a day?
I'll make a motion
All
that we
right, thank you.
continue to pay the bailiffs $5 a day.
Okay.
I'll second.
All right, $5 extra.
I was gonna say, I'll vote for that one.
Sorry.
Okay.
Found something, Gina.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, and the dollar value on that was $7,250. Okay. All right. All those in favor of paying the bailiffs an extra $5 a day out of county money? Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 in favor. Opposed? One opposed? Okay. All right. Thank you.
I have a question, if I
Yes.
may, before your next motion.
Uh-huh.
I just want, whatever we do, if we do reduce this amount, we need to reduce the corresponding revenue also.
Yes.
When we get there, that's all. Because that's still based on this figure.
Right. Okay. Representative Ahlgren.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Well, to that end, I just want to try to reiterate the fact that this budget was made up based on the current number of court days we have, times the bailiffs, times how much we're going to get from the state, plus the $5 extra, plus something else that you said, some part-time stuff, right? So the bottom line is, guys, is that the state pays us a revenue of X amount of money, and then we expense it for X amount of money. So it doesn't change the amount of taxes we're appropriating, whatever that amount of money is. The bottom line, it has no effect on the tax rate. So we're not reducing the tax rate by reducing this line.
So you would like to make a motion?
I would like to make a motion that we footnote the budget, limiting the expenditures as to be the revenues that we receive from the state to reimburse court bailiffs, plus the corresponding $5 a day, and whatever de minimis part-time bailiff funds are normally appropriated. But from
Normally
that
charged to the state. It's not appropriated, it's charged to the state.
Well,
Yeah,
it was,
Okay, it's
I
charged
see what
to...
you're saying, working with whatever that budget is appropriated, we work within it, which we would have to do.
So it's
No.
not a line item, it's, you're talking about.
What he's,
it's a footnote.
what
It's
he's
a footnote
saying
to that
is,
line.
what he's saying is that the sheriff cannot spend more than the state gives him, plus $7,250. Okay? So I think that's what the motion is. And the argument on one side is that the fact that this is mostly earned income, okay? It doesn't make any difference what we do because it's a revenue and an expense.
Right.
And so we're not, I mean, we do raise taxes to cover it, okay? But then the revenue comes in to pay for it. Yes, you may.
Well, you're on a second yet.
Oh, do I have a second? I thought I had one. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All right. All right. Representative
Well,
Schmitt.
no, I'm sorry.
Okay, now,
I'm sorry.
that was the second. Representative Chandler.
Yeah, it is a little bit of semantics, I agree, but the bottom line is wherever we budget, I think we ought to budget as realistic as we can without worrying whether the state's giving us back any money. This is unrealistic. I mean, in the budget from the state of New Hampshire for this line is what, 75,900, is that what you said, or something?
Yep.
So we should be budgeting close to that amount. Under the scenario you've given, we could make this $400,000 and raise the revenue to 400 from the state, but it doesn't make any sense. And the problem is, the sheriff could, a sheriff, not this one, but it could happen, under your scenario, we could go out and spend money on bailiffs and just say, we get to the end of the year, and the sheriff says, well, I spent 123 because I thought I was gonna get that, and we end up only getting the 70. I mean, we should at least budget realistically, I think. That's all I'm saying. I have no problem with the motion, but it should be a motion based on a budget amount that is something that we know is going to happen, that's all. So.
Yes, you may.
Oh, well, the budget you're speaking of has not passed. We don't know what's going to happen. And this is based on what happened last year, the number of court days that we had. And what, by practice, other than, I guess it was, 3 years ago that they cut back on some court dates? So, I mean, this number reflects the normal practice. Until that budget is passed, then we don't know. And the net effect on the taxpayers is nothing. And you're right, we could make it $400,000 and put $400,000 under the revenue, and the amount to be raised by taxes isn't changing. So the bottom line is, it doesn't make any difference to the tax rate. And so, since we had this footnote not allowing them to start spending this appropriated money on anything other than its intended exact purpose, then I think we're covered. And so whatever it is what it is.
Okay, thank you.
Madam Chair.
Representative Butler.
Thank you. After this motion is voted on, I will move a budget line of 83,150, which is I'd get 83,150, which is the 75,900 plus the 72,50.
I just have a quick question.
Yep.
So if the state comes back with more money than we're putting into our budget, we can just spend the more money, or
Nope.
what works?
Nope.
We can't. And I think that's the scary thing. If they, because this hasn't been passed yet, what if they put another $10,000 in it and we can't even access that money?
Please look at it this way. It's not going to happen, but you can do what you want. Yes, Sheriff.
Exactly correct. I believe the Concord funding is based on an annual year starting in July. I'm correct, right?
That's right.
July.
So we're already working through a half a year with what they propose. So again, this has been pretty steady throughout the years as far as little or minimal increase as far as the bailiffs are concerned. I don't see that drastic cut happening, so I would recommend at least get through this year. If they cut it, then next year in January, we can make that correction as far as the sheriff's budget goes.
Can you tell me how much we have been reimbursed so far this year?
I don't have that with me, but we have been paid up to what we submit, so it's all in line with what we've budgeted. Representative Ahlgren is right on with this line. It is for the bailiffs, and that's what it's for. We go by what they reimburse us and what they give us to work with, setting up those court dates. So this is right on line, and the difference is the $5, which comes to $7,000, a little above. But again, we can make the correction in a budget issue as far as come January, July, if they decrease it that much.
Representative Nelson.
Thank you. So in theory, you're recommending we could actually cut this by, say, 20,000 instead of 40,000. Because we know what we're going to have, or fairly close to know what we're going to have to July. It's the second half that we don't know.
Yes.
So if we cut the thing in half, the number, the increase, then we would be safe.
If we leave it alone, if that's what you're saying.
No, the difference that we have between what the judiciary says and what we have is roughly, I don't remember the number.
40,000. So the difference.
40,000. So if we just cut that in half, we would have the 20,000 to get us through the second half of the year in case those numbers change.
That's possible, but I mean,
Okay.
I
We don't-
think if
we
we
don't-
just leave it alone and make the correction in January, we'll be better off. 'Cause our budget is from January to December.
Okay, thank you. Any other discussion? All right, Representative Ahlgren has a motion on the floor.
Seconded by Representative Schmitt.
Mhm.
Sheriff cannot spend more than the state provides in this line, except for the $72.50 already appropriated.
Okay. All right.
Are we voting on the line?
No, we're voting on the motion that says,
They put the line.
that says that the sheriff cannot spend any more than he receives. Okay? Other than the 72.50, which is what we agree. So all those in favor, please raise your hand. Opposed?
11.
11?
Yep.
Yeah, 11. Okay. So, could I have a motion?
I'm not willing to do that now.
On the, could I have a motion on the bottom line of the Sheriff's Department?
Well, I'll make a motion based on the previous discussion to cut the court bailiff line by $20,000.
To 103.
Do I have a second for that?
Sure.
Okay, Representative Nelson. Discussion?
Well, Madam,
Yes?
I'm sorry, I didn't speak without getting recognized.
That's okay.
Well, other than just quickly reiterating the fact that it doesn't affect the tax rate, if they don't change the number of court days, then we would have to do a supplemental appropriation in order to pay the bailiffs, that for, you know, there's really no perceived savings, and I don't see the point at this juncture to make that adjustment until we have maybe the budget's passed, and we can just make the adjustment next year.
Any other comments?
I have to.
Sure.
Thank you. I have to agree with Representative Ahlgren. I think we should just keep it as is.
Anyone have any other comments? Okay. All those in favor of reducing the bailiffs $20,000, please raise your hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6. All those opposed? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Motion passes. Okay. So that brings the bottom line down to something I can't subtract.
It's just 20 grand less.
Yeah, but it's,
Oh.
yeah, you see what it is?
1.783877.
Okay. You want to read that number again?
$1,783,887.
One
All right.
more time, please, Representative.
1,783,887.00.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Could I have a motion on the bottom line?
I'll make that motion.
All right.
Second.
$1,783,887. Seconded by Representative Cordelli. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Opposed?
So it's 178,388.
Yep. 10-1.
10 to 2.
Oh, 2?
Oh, 9 to 2, I'm sorry. Representative Ahlgren also is opposed.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
Correspondingly.
What was the vote?
9-2.
9-2. Correspondingly.
Okay. Dispatch. Could I have a motion on the bottom line, please?
I'll make a motion to accept the dispatch budget for $801,955.
Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you. Representative White. Okay, any discussion on dispatch? Okay, all those in favor, please raise your hand. Opposed? 10-1. Okay. Where am I? I think the last thing we have here, if I'm not mistaken, is the nursing home. Representative Ahlgren. Could I have, oh, no, we've got the convention.
Can I ask a quick question? It's about the sheriff. The sheriff might be leaving. On the special details, Albany, there, line number 3, special details, Albany grant.
Yep.
Is that line really, is that just the Albany grant, or is the traffic special details also lumped into that same line? Just
$20,000?
yeah, the 23,520, is that indeed just from the Albany grant, or do we also have like traffic detail?
Yes, 20,000 of that is the town of Albany rate tax themselves. And the rest of it is from projected details of commercial detail plays.
So only $3,000 is for commercial details?
Yes.
Okay, that's fine, then we don't need to do the footnote. I was just making sure that number was cool. Thank you.
Okay, could I have a motion on the bottom line for the county convention? I don't know, it's right here. It's page 31.
Yeah, it was changed. It's also there.
Excuse me. Could I please have a motion on the bottom line for the county budget, or the convention budget?
I'm not sure I have the right bottom line on that.
Right here. This is the.
I move 30,651.
Do I have a second? Okay, thank you. Is everybody looking at this sheet with the yellow markers on it?
We are, but it's up.
Okay. At our last meeting, we approved $20,000 for the performance audit, and we reduced the travel expenses and meeting expenses by $500 each. Okay? That was at our last meeting.
Oh, we did that?
Yes, we did. So, there should be no continued discussion on this
We'll find
because we all agreed that this is where we wanted to be.
So I wasn't here, so I have.
And I wasn't here.
Okay, any questions, comments? All right, all those in favor? All those opposed? Thank you. 10-1.
Those 4 people, I read in the minutes, 4 people opposed this at the last meeting.
Well, they're not here, we got rid of them. Okay, now we go to
Well, because of
the nursing home.
the audit.
Can,
What page are we on?
oh, I don't know.
It begins on page 30. Well, we also need to do the annex. Well, no, we did the annex. All right, so 34. It begins on page 34, and I believe that there's nobody there, that the delegation line does reflect the changes
Yes, it
that
does.
we,
This
asked
is
for.
only if there are any changes that have occurred since this was
Right.
done.
And I don't believe that's the case as far as the subcommittee is concerned.
Okay.
So,
how about
a motion for
a motion for the
nursing home administration, that's actually on page
Do
35.
we need to do this individually, or can we just do it as a whole?
I would recommend doing it individually, I
Okay,
guess, just for
thank
the
you.
record, just so they keep the department by department thing
Mhm.
going. So that would be for nursing home administration, we have $1,181,414. I would like to move that.
Second.
Representative Butler, seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor? All those opposed? Okay. 11-0.
Yep.
Dietary,
I'd like to move $1,635,695 for the nursing home dietary.
Second.
okay. Any discussion? All those in favor? All those opposed? 10-1.
Okay, next page, and the page after that, page 38, nursing department. I'd like to move $6,329,038.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, Representative Butler. Any discussion? Yes?
In terms of $200,000 in overtime, which is not out of line with previous years, but aren't there steps, measures that might be taken to reduce overtime? I mean, this department especially, not to mention there are other departments where there is significant overtime. Just something for, the subcommittee in the future, in discussion with the nursing home to look at. It's a considerable expense.
Yes, well, thank you for the question. We have endeavored to do that. We, as a quick history, we've made it a policy that when shifts become available, that the people who fill those shifts need to not be going into overtime unless it's approved by the management of it. So that's helpful in bringing that down, that the managers control who covers a shift as opposed to the employees who are kind of signing up to cover shifts. So that should help curtail that. Also, of course, if there are sicknesses, many times they have to cover it, sometimes they don't. But so we have made steps in that regard. I think it will move forward, but it is much better than the alternative of contracted people coming in. Even the overtime rate is less than we pay for contracted people.
I would just say that this is the kind of business when you're doing 24 hours a day. If somebody calls in sick for the night shift, it's really difficult to replace them. Mm-hmm. And this is a reality, and the fact that we have reduced our per diem significantly, I think, is a step in the right direction, and we should always pay attention to that line.
Yeah. Okay. I won't elongate the conversation. Okay. Any other comments? All those in favor? Opposed? 10-0.
Okay, on to page 40, 2 more pages for plant operations. We would like to move $813,180.
Do I have a second?
I will second.
Okay. Any discussion, questions, comments? Yes.
Just the increase in education and conferences to $1,000. In the past, I don't see it's been much over $200.
Indeed. Well, the previous year, according to the sheet I'm looking at, dated February 21st, the actual for last year was $579.
Right, of which $300 and something was spent in December.
That very well could be.
Did you want to make a motion, Representative Cordelli?
Yes, I'll make a motion to reduce the education and conferences line by $700.
Okay, do I have a second? Seeing no second, we'll ignore that motion. Okay, we have a motion on the floor for the bottom line. Any other discussion? All those in favor, please raise your hand. Opposed? Looks like
Representative Chandler didn't.
I was not here, so I
Okay,
don't know
that's
where
all
you
right.
were.
Ten.
So 9-1.
Yeah, well,
Representative voted against.
Moving on to the laundry.
oh, voted against.
I'd like, to- page 41, I'd like to move 139,705.
Okay, do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, discussion?
I know, this is if I like it. I keep saying I like to move, I don't know if I like it.
Anyone have any discussion on the laundry? Certainly have clean clothes. All those in favor? Opposed? One opposed?
Next page, page 42, housekeeping department. I will move 465,800.
How much?
$465,800.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None opposed.
Next page, page 43, for physicians and pharmacy. I move 90,500.
Do I have?
Second.
Okay,
Oh, sorry.
that's all right. Any discussion on the pharmacy? Okay. All those in favor? Opposed?
Question, just from, but since it states Dr. Lewis, are we locked in with Dr. Lewis?
I believe we have two.
Well, it just says a name on here, because
Yeah.
it says a name, are we locked into that name for that line? If he left, or he or she left, could we spend it on somebody else?
I would think so.
I don't know.
You want to recognize Babson?
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. Representative Babson.
Thank you. Representative Nelson, it says Dr. Lewis, but that's Huggins Hospital.
So we need to change, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
So do we need to change the name of that line to Huggins Hospital rather than specify a person?
Yes.
Or a physician or something?
Yep.
Kathy?
Yeah, we can change the name.
Okay.
To Huggins.
All right.
Or
Physicians?
physician services.
Yeah, that might be better.
Yeah.
And is this a geriatrician or a psychiatrist?
This is the medical doctor.
Geriatrics. Okay. Thank you. Did we vote?
Physicians in pharmacy, we did. It was 11-0.
Okay.
Page 44, physical therapy department. I move $425,130.
Okay, do I have a second?
Second.
All right, Representative Butler. Any questions, comments, discussion? All those in favor? 11-0.
Next page, recreational therapy department, page 45. I move $425,364.
Do I have a second, please?
Second.
Representative Butler. Any questions, comments? All those in favor? Opposed? 10-1.
Page 46, social services department, $157,473. I move.
Second.
Representative Butler seconds. Any questions or comments? Okay. All those in favor, please say, raise your hand. 11-0.
Next page, on page 47, Special Services Department.
Second.
I move 473,800.
Representative Butler seconds. Any comments, discussions?
Here's the number.
All those in favor? 11-0.
So for the total enterprise fund, I move a total of $12,137,037.99.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay.
Although since we've already approved all these above,
Right.
we've approved it.
But I'd like a vote
Just
on the
for the
bottom line.
measure.
All those in favor of the bottom line? Those opposed? 10-1. Okay. Kathy, can you give us a revised figure for the proposed budget?
With the changes that happened today, the amount is $27,716,615.
Okay. If I'm not mistaken, we have had two reductions.
Two reductions.
One was for 2,000 and one was for 20,000. Okay?
And then one increase of pension.
Oh, yes. No, that wasn't an increase. Oh, yes, it was in capital. Okay.
Yeah.
So that's a reduction. Okay, so that was 22 minus 10, so it's a $12,000 change. Okay. So.
I just have a quick question on insurance. Your insurance, our insurance, the insurance, health and things is through LGC Municipal Association, is that right?
Health insurance?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No?
Primex
Right,
is our property, unemployment, and workers' comp. Interlocal trust is our health insurance.
That's, okay.
That was they took up for Harvard Pilgrim. Primex got out of health insurance.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much. Could I please have a motion for the entire budget?
So moved.
Seconded by Representative White. Okay, total budget of $16,615. Okay. Any further discussion?
Where does the wood pellet, the wood processor come into that motion?
It's not.
It doesn't.
That was a separate motion that they're gonna get back to us with A, B, C, D, E.
I thought we had this in the administrator or something.
No.
For the bottom line?
Not yet.
Not yet.
Okay, seeing no discussion.
Well, I just would like to comment, if I could, just very quickly, just to say that the 6% or 6.4% increase in the amount of money to be raised by taxes is the highest proposed budget I've seen anywhere in the state of New Hampshire this year. Any town, city, it's just absolutely boggles my mind we would even be thinking about passing a budget of that amount. But thank you.
Representative Ahlgren.
I thank the good representative for pointing that out, but I will remind him that the amount to be raised by taxes isn't necessarily reflected upon the amount that we just passed for the amount of the expenditures.
I don't know what else you'd look at. If you lowered the expenditures, the amount to be raised by taxes wouldn't be so high. How else can you?
Well, because it's offset by monies that we use to reduce taxes that we haven't.
That includes the monies.
That has not been, that part of the budget has not been voted on by the delegation at this juncture. So if we take currently the amount that we.
That's another issue. Okay.
I agree with that, but the amount that the actual expenditures The actual expenditure increase as budget to budget is...
2.1 or something. Down.
No, that's the amount to be raised by taxes. If you look at page 48, the grand total, the adopted budget from last year was $27,136,391. And this year is $27,716,615. That is an increase of $580,000 divided by $27,136,391 gives us a budget increase of 2% of expenditures over last year.
As I said.
So the 2%.
Right.
That's the amount of budgeted expenditures.
The tax rate is going up because we have a different amount of money that we can
Use to reduce taxes.
Use to reduce taxes.
But we'll get there.
Okay.
Just to follow up, if I may?
Yep.
Following up on Representative Chandler's comment, and the amounts, looking back historically, for the past 3 years, the appropriations, the expenditures have gone up by over $2.1 million. That's over 3 years. Over 4 years, it's over $4.5 million on just expenditure lines. The use of the fund balance to reduce the tax rate over 3 years, if it was in 2011, it was 2.5 million. 2012, it was 1.4 million. I don't think that kind of growth and spending can be sustained in the long run. And that's my concern.
Okay, thank you. Representative Ahlgren.
Those are very good points, but I just want to point out that it went up $2 million because we started paying for the nursing home, which cost $2 million. So,
which not all of us voted for.
Which not all of us voted for, that's correct. Not all of us voted for that. But
it was a vote.
But that increase in general fund expenditures was due to the nursing home. When you don't look at that numbers, then the actual general fund expenditures have not been increasing that largely. What we did was commit to a $2 million or 17% increase at that time for our expenditures, and that has been, I don't want to use the word hidden, but we've been able to soften the blow to the taxpayers over time by adding additional monies to reduce taxes, but those days are soon coming to an end.
Okay.
You can spend it however you want. That's not about.
I have often pointed out that when we built the nursing home, it raised the tax rate by 17%, even though we haven't felt it on our pocketbooks yet.
Okay. Any other comments? Could we ask for a roll call, please, on the
On the bottom line of $27,716,615, Representative Ahlgren.
Yes.
Representative Butler, yes. Representative Chandler?
No.
Representative Cordelli?
No.
Representative Crawford?
Yes.
Representative Lavender?
Yes.
Representative McConkey is not here. Representative Merrow?
Yes.
Representative Nelson?
Yes.
Representative Schmitt?
Yes.
Representative Ticehurst is not here. Representative White?
Yes.
Representative Wright is not here. Representative Umberger?
yes?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 to 2.
Okay.
It's 9 to 2, and that's 11. Sorry, I'm speaking out loud. Okay. No, I just want to make sure that because those people who aren't there, who are going to be here later, that won't sway the vote.
Okay. It's approaching. We're not going to Concord.
Oh, okay.
Okay. It's all right. We still have revenue to take care of, right? And we still have how much we're going to take out of the rainy day fund and the bond. So my question is, I know that several people have to leave here. Can we get back together next Monday at 9 o'clock to discuss those two things?
I prefer that. I'm sorry.
Okay, no.
Don't hold up.
No, you're not the only one.
Time. I gotta be.
Okay, so we will schedule a meeting for next week on Monday to go over the revenue and the amount of money that we're going to use. Okay? So,
Madam Chair, I will be absent.
okay, that's okay. Now, we're not done. I know you have to go. Okay, anyone that has to go, please go ahead and go. But we are going to, as I mentioned at the beginning, just briefly go into a non-public session, and
Before, just a comment, question before we do
yes.
that.
Okay. Kathy, did you get the 91A part?
I did not, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Which, 91A.
Is it
3? Yes. Yeah, we can do it under personnel. Is that 91A3?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Before we do that, are there any public comments? You're not a public.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Are there any public comments? All right, thank you very much.
When we have a quorum to do the non-public?
Yeah, we do. Enough. We're gonna do it. We've got 8.
My question is when the sheriff's still here.
What's your question?
There was an article in the paper about Belknap County having a catastrophic failure of their dispatch system due to communication with their patrols. And I would just ask the sheriff if he could, just look into that a little bit and see if we are in the same vulnerable position maybe that Belknap County was.
All right, thank you. Yeah, okay, I would excuse everyone, if I could, except for Attorney Gordon.
I don't see anything that is all that problematic.
All right, then the minutes will not be sealed, and they will be available the next time minutes are available.
No,
Okay?
you have 72 hours.
Well,
if you don't
thank
seal
you
them.
very much. Is there, okay, no public comments. We did that earlier, so could I have a motion to adjourn? Thank you. With our next meeting scheduled for the 18th at 9 o'clock. And I'm sorry that we couldn't finish today, but we had a lot of discussion on things.
We need to try to remember that we have to reduce this number.
Yeah.
I'm afraid of it.
No, I won't.
Are you done spending Brookfield's money?
So you're all set.
No, don't spend a Wakefield money.
I don't have a clue. Those opposed? 10-1. Okay. Kathy, can you give us a revised figure for the proposed budget?
With the changes that happened today, the amount is $27,716,615.
Okay. If I'm not mistaken, we have had 2 reductions.
2 reductions.
One was for 2,000 and one was for 20,000. Okay.
And then 1 increase of pensions.
Oh, yes. No, that wasn't an increase. Oh, yes, it was in capital. Okay. So that's a reduction. Okay, so that was 22 minus 10, so it's a $12,000 change. Okay. So.
I just have a quick question on insurance. Your insurance, our insurance, the insurance, health and things is through LGC Municipal Association, is that right?
Health insurance?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No?
Primex
Right,
is our property, unemployment, and workers' comp. Interlocal trust is our health insurance.
That's, okay.
That was they took up for Harvard Pilgrim. Primex got out of health insurance.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much. Could I please have a motion for the entire budget?
So moved.
Seconded by Representative White. Okay, total budget of $27,716. $16,615. Okay. Any further discussion?
Where does the wood pellet, the wood processor come into that motion?
It's not.
It doesn't.
That was a separate motion that they're gonna get back to us with A, B, C, D, E.
The administrator or something.
No.
For the bottom line?
Not yet.
Okay, seeing no discussion.
So I just would like
Oh.
to, if I could, just very quickly, just to say that the 6% or 6.4% increase in the amount of money to be raised by taxes is the highest proposed budget I've seen anywhere in the state of New Hampshire this year. Any town, city, it's just absolutely boggles my mind we would even be thinking about passing a budget of that amount. But thank you.
Representative Ahlgren.
I thank the good representative for pointing that out, but I will remind him that the amount to be raised by taxes isn't necessarily reflected upon the amount that we just passed for the amount of the expenditures.
I don't know what else you'd look at. If you lowered the expenditures, the amount to be raised by taxes wouldn't be so high. How else can you?
Well, because it's offset by monies that we use to reduce taxes that we haven't.
That includes the monies.
That has not been, that part of the budget has not been voted on by the delegation at this juncture. So if we take currently
Okay.
the amount that we.
That's another issue. Okay.
I agree with that, but the amount that the actual expenditures, the actual expenditure increase as budget to budget is
2.1 or something.
No, that's the amount to be raised by taxes. If you look at page 48, the grand total, the adopted budget from last year was $27,136,391, and this year is $27,716,615. That is an increase of $580,000 divided by $27,136,391 gives us a budget increase of 2% of expenditures over last year.
As I said.
So the 2%. That's the amount of budgeted expenditures.
The tax rate is going up because we have a different amount of money that we can
Use to reduce taxes.
Use to reduce taxes.
But we'll get there.
Okay.
Just to follow up, if I may?
Yep.
Following up on Representative Chandler's comment, and the amounts, looking back historically, for the past 3 years, the appropriations, the expenditures have gone up by over $2.1 million. That's over 3 years. Over 4 years, it's over $4.5 million on just expenditure lines. The use of the fund balance to reduce the tax rate over 3 years, if it was in 2011, it was 2.5 million. 2012, it was 1.4 million. I don't think that kind of growth and spending can be sustained in the long run. And that's my concern.
Okay, thank you. Representative Ahlgren.
Those are very good points, but I just want to point out that it went up $2 million because we started paying for the nursing home, which cost $2 million. So.
Which not all of us voted for.
Which not all of us voted for, that's correct. Not all of us voted for that. But
it was a vote.
But that increase in general fund expenditures was due to the nursing home. When you don't look at that numbers, then the actual general fund expenditures have not been increasing that largely. What we did was commit to a $2 million or 17% increase at that time for our expenditures. And that has been, I don't want to use the word hidden, but we've been able to soften the blow to the taxpayers over time by adding additional monies to reduce taxes. But those days are soon coming to an end.
Okay.
You can spend it however you want, Representative.
I have often pointed out that when we built the nursing home, it raised the tax rate by 17%, even though we haven't felt it on our pocketbooks yet.
Okay. Any other comments? Could we ask for a roll call, please, on the
On the bottom line of $27,716,615, Representative Ahlgren.
Yes.
Representative Butler, yes. Representative Chandler?
No.
Representative Cordelli?
No.
Representative Crawford?
Yes.
Representative Lavender?
Yes.
Representative McConkey is not here. Representative Merrow?
Yes.
Representative Nelson?
Yes.
Representative Schmitt?
Yes.
Representative Ticehurst is not here. Representative White?
Yes.
Representative Wright is not here. Representative Umberger?
yes?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 to 2.
Okay.
It's 9 to 2, and that's 11. Sorry, I'm speaking out loud. Okay. No, I just want to make sure that because those people who aren't there, who are going to be here later, that won't sway the vote.
Okay. It's approaching. We're not going to Concord.
Oh, okay.
Okay? It's, all right. We still have revenue to take care of, right? And we still have how much we're going to take out of the rainy day fund and the bond. So my question is, I know that several people have to leave here. Can we get back together next Monday at 9 o'clock to discuss those two things?
I prefer that. I'm sorry.
Okay, no.
Don't hold up.
No, you're not the only one.
Time. I gotta be.
Okay, so we will schedule a meeting for next week on Monday to go over the revenue and the amount of money that we're going to use. Okay? So,
Madam Chair, I will be absent.
okay, that's okay. Now, we're not done. I know you have to go. Okay, anyone that has to go, please go ahead and go. But we are going to, as I mentioned at the beginning, just briefly go into a non-public session, and
Before, just a comment, question before we do
yes.
that.
Okay. Kathy, did you get the 91A part?
I did not, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Which 91A?
Is it
3? Yes. Yeah, we can do it under personnel. Is that 91A3?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Before we do that, are there any public comments? You're not a public.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Are there any public comments? All right, thank you very much.
Will we have a quorum to do the non-public?
Yeah, we do. We're gonna do it. We've got 8.
My question is when the sheriff's still here.
What's your question?
There was an article in the paper about Belknap County having a catastrophic failure of their dispatch system due to communication with their patrols. And I would just ask the sheriff if he could, just look into that a little bit and see if we are in the same vulnerable position maybe that Belknap County was.
All right, thank you. Yeah, okay, I would excuse everyone, if I could, except for Attorney Gordon.
I don't see anything that is all that problematic.
All right, then the minutes will not be sealed, and they will be available the next time minutes are available.
No,
Okay?
you have 72 hours.
Well,
if you don't seal
thank you
them.
very much. Is there, okay, no public comments. We did that earlier, so could I have a motion to adjourn? Thank you. With our next meeting scheduled for the 18th at 9 o'clock. And I'm sorry that we couldn't finish today, but we had a lot of discussion on things.
We need to try to remember that we have to reduce this number.
Yeah.
I'm afraid we can't.
No, I won't.
Are you done spending Brookfield money?
So you're all set.
No, don't spend the Wakefield money.
I don't have that. Those opposed? 10-1. Okay. Kathy, can you give us a revised figure for the proposed budget?
With the changes that happened today, the amount is $27,716,615.
Okay. If I'm not mistaken, we have had two reductions.
Two reductions.
One was for 2,000 and one was for 20,000. Okay.
And then one increase of pensions.
Oh, yes. No, that wasn't an increase. Oh, yes, it was in capital. Okay. So that's a reduction. Okay, so that was 22 minus 10, so it's a $12,000 change. Okay, so.
I just have a quick question on insurance. Your insurance, our insurance, the insurance, health and things is through LGC Municipal Association, is that right?
Health insurance?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No?
Primex
Right.
is our property, unemployment, and workers' comp. Interlocal trust is our health insurance.
That's, okay.
That was they took up for Harvard Pilgrim. Primex got out of health insurance.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much. Could I please have a motion for the entire budget?
So moved.
Seconded by Representative White. Okay, total budget of $27,716. $16,615. Okay. Any further discussion?
Where does the wood pellet, the wood processor come into that motion?
It's not.
It doesn't.
That was a separate motion that they're gonna get back to us with A, B, C, D, E.
This is the administrator or something.
No.
For the bottom line?
Not yet.
Okay, seeing no discussion.
Well, I just would like to comment, if I could, just very quickly, just to say that the 6% or 6.4% increase in the amount of money to be raised by taxes is the highest proposed budget I've seen anywhere in the state of New Hampshire this year. Any town, city, it's just absolutely boggles my mind we would even be thinking about passing a budget of that amount. But thank you.
Representative Ahlgren.
I thank the good representative for pointing that out, but I will remind him that the amount to be raised by taxes isn't necessarily reflected upon the amount that we just passed for the amount of the expenditures.
I don't know what else you'd look at. If you lowered the expenditures, the amount to be raised by taxes wouldn't be so high. How else can you?
Well, because it's offset by monies that we use to reduce taxes that we haven't.
That includes the monies.
That has not been, that part of the budget has not been voted on by the delegation at this juncture. So if we take currently
Okay.
the amount that we.
That's another issue, okay?
I agree with that, but the amount that the actual expenditures, the actual expenditure increase as budget to budget is
2.1 or something. Down.
No, that's the amount to be raised by taxes. If you look at page 48, the grand total, the adopted budget from last year was $27,136,391, and this year is $27,716,615. That is an increase of $580,000 divided by $27,136,391 gives us a budget increase of 2% of expenditures over last year.
As I said.
So the 2%.
Right.
That's the amount of budgeted expenditures.
The tax rate is going up because we have a different amount of money that we can
Use to reduce taxes.
Use to reduce taxes.
But we'll get there.
Okay.
Just to follow up, if I may?
Yep.
Following up on Representative Chandler's comment, and the amounts, looking back historically, for the past 3 years, the appropriations, the expenditures have gone up by over $2.1 million. That's over 3 years. Over 4 years, it's over $4.5 million on just expenditure lines. The use of the fund balance to reduce the tax rate over 3 years, if it was in 2011, it was 2.5 million. 2012, it was 1.4 million. I don't think that kind of growth and spending can be sustained in the long run. And that's my concern.
Okay, thank you. Representative Ahlgren.
Those are very good points, but I just want to point out that it went up $2 million because we started paying for the nursing home, which cost $2 million. So,
which not all of us voted for.
Which not all of us voted for, that's correct. Not all of us voted for that. But
it was a vote.
But that increase in general fund expenditures was due to the nursing home. When you don't look at that numbers, then the actual general fund expenditures have not been increasing that largely. What we did was commit to a $2 million or 17% increase at that time for our expenditures, and that has been, I don't want to use the word hidden, but we've been able to soften the blow to the taxpayers over time by adding additional monies to reduce taxes, but those days are soon coming to an end.
Okay.
You can spend it however you want.
I have often pointed out that when we built the nursing home, it raised the tax rate by 17%, even though we haven't felt it on our pocketbooks yet.
Okay. Any other comments? Could we ask for a roll call, please, on the
On the bottom line of $27,716,615, Representative Ahlgren.
Yes.
Representative Butler, yes. Representative Chandler?
No.
Representative Cordelli?
No.
Representative Crawford?
Yes.
Representative Lavender?
Yes.
Representative McConkey is not here. Representative Merrow?
Yes.
Representative Nelson?
Yes.
Representative Schmitt?
Yes.
Representative Ticehurst is not here. Representative White?
Yes.
Representative Wright is not here. Representative Umberger?
Yes.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 to 2.
Okay.
It's 9 to 2, and that's 11, sorry, I'm speaking out loud. Okay. No, I just want to make sure that, because those people who aren't there, who are going to be here later, that won't sway the vote.
Okay. It's approaching, we're not going to Concord.
Oh, okay.
Okay? It's, all right. We still have revenue to take care of, right? And we still have, how much we're going to take out of the, rainy day fund and the, bond. So, my question is, I know that several people have to leave here. Can we get back together next Monday at 9 o'clock to discuss those two things?
I prefer that. I'm sorry.
Okay, no.
Don't hold up.
No, you're not the only one.
I gotta be.
Okay, so we will schedule a meeting for next week on Monday to go over the revenue and the amount of money that we're going to use. Okay? So,
Madam Chair, I will be absent.
okay, that's okay. Now, we're not done. I know you have to go. Okay, anyone that has to go, please go ahead and go. But we are going to, as I mentioned at the beginning, just briefly go into a non-public session, and
Before, just a question before we do
yes.
that.
Okay. Kathy, did you get the 91A part?
I did not, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Which, 91A.
Is it
3? Yes. Yeah, we can do it under personnel. Is that 91A3?
Yes.
Okay, all right. Before we do that, are there any public comments? You're not a public.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Are there any public comments? All right, thank you very much.
Will we have a quorum to do the non-public?
Yeah, we do. Enough. We're gonna do it. We've got 8.
My question is when the sheriff's still here.
What's your question?
There was an article in the paper about Belknap County having a catastrophic failure of their dispatch system due to communication with their patrols. And I would just ask the sheriff if he could, just look into that a little bit and see if we are in the same vulnerable position maybe that Belknap County was.
All right, thank you. Yeah, okay, I would excuse everyone, if I could, except for Attorney Gordon.
Question?
I don't see anything that is all that problematic.
All right, then the minutes will not be sealed, and they will be available the next time minutes are available.
No,
Okay.
you have 72 hours.
Well,
if you don't
thank
seal
you
them.
very much. Is there, okay, no public comments. We did that earlier, so could I have a motion to adjourn? Thank you. With our next meeting scheduled for the 18th at 9 o'clock. And I'm sorry that we couldn't finish today, but we had a lot of discussion on things.
We need to try to remember that we have to reduce this number.
Yeah.
I'm afraid we'll.
No, I won't.
Are you done spending Brookfield's money?
So you're all set.
Don't spend a Wakefield money.
I don't have